God bless, guys. God bless. Welcome to the live stream today. We're back again. Apologetic Arena Live. My name's Israel. You can also call me King Context. And today we are going to be showing you how to defend your faith as a Christian against the lies of Muslims out there who try and get you to believe that Islam honors women more than Christianity. So we're going to open it up to any Muslim who wants to call in and have a conversation today and make the case to show us why they believe that Islam actually honors it, why they believe that Islam is actually better for women than Christianity, when that's a lie from the pit of hell. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up for callers. The link is pinned in the chat section. Wherever you're watching, make sure you like and subscribe, because number one, if you want to know how to defend your faith more and more as a Christian, definitely like, send in hearts, all of that good stuff. It helps. It will help you. It will help us be able to do more of this stuff and to reach more people. And we've got some potential calls in today's live stream. We've got some videos which will serve a very good purpose for today's live stream. But what we're going to do first and foremost is I'm going to read something from the Bible, and I'm going to contrast it with the Quran, and then I want us to jump right into it. So this is basically turned into a series, right? I've been looking at this over and over again. There's multiple things you can there's multiple avenues you can go with this sort of topic, and for the last few episodes I've been speaking specifically about how a husband in Islam is able to strike his wife. And the reason why this is so interesting, because it's such a contrast, it's so different to what we see in Christianity. Now, one of the main reasons for this series is because there was this video that I saw online. It's got over 1 million views, and it was a guy talking about how Islam honors women more than Christianity. And because of stuff like that, I said, you know what, I'm going to start going live and welcoming any Muslim to have a conversation on this particular topic and see if what Muslims like that guy was doing in the video actually holds weight, because the arguments in those videos were weak, they were dead, they weren't that good. And why not open it up for Muslims to come and make their case? So welcome all who are joining live, and for those of you who are watching this on a replay, I pray this was a blessing for you. It will be a blessing in so many different levels. And Dodo Slayer, thank you for liking the live. I appreciate you, and welcome everyone to tonight's stream. It's going to be a good one. All right. So, obviously, as a Christian, it's obvious to me that Islam does not honor women more than Christianity, right? It doesn't. So, what I want to do first and foremost, we're going to read a verse from the Bible, and then I'm going to read something from the Quran, and we'll see the contrast between these two situations. So what I'm going to read, and I read this in a previous stream as well, we're going to start with 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. And the reason why I want to talk about this particular, I'll tell you why anyway. So let's read basically. So we've got the word of God on the left, and we've got the word of Satan on the right. So, but let's just read 1 Peter first. So it says, likewise, this is Peter speaking to Christian men, Christian husbands. He says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them, speaking about the wives, according to knowledge, right? So give honor unto them, the wife that is, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Right, that your prayers be not hindered. We're going to come back to this particular part in a little bit, right? That your prayers be not hindered, right? Prayer is very important, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, right? Prayer is very important. And this is the verse we continue to come back to in the Quran, chapter 4, verse 34, where it says, men are in charge of women because Allah has made the one of them to excel the other, and because they spend of their property for the support of women. So good women are the obedient, guarding in secret that which Allah has guarded. And this is the key part here, right? As for those from whom you fear rebellion, it says, admonish them, tell them off basically, and banish them to beds apart, i.e. don't sleep in the same bed with them, stop having intercourse with them. And then it says, and scourge them. There's the key part here, beat them, you can strike them, etc. And then it says, if they obey you after obviously doing these things, seek not away against them And then it continues. Now, the reason why this is so significant is because this is one clear reason why, number one, Islam is bad for women. Number two, why Islam clearly doesn't honor women as much as Christianity honors women. And the thing what you have to realize is, when you think about both faiths, right? Both faiths speak about the husband, right, being the leader, right? Both faiths have that perspective, but for two completely different reasons. And the reason why this is significant is because you can have, let's say for example, a good leader. You can also have a bad leader, right? And this is all going to come down to basically the kind of person you actually are. Like, where are you getting your instructions from? So don't make the mistake. It's not necessarily, my point isn't that Islam says the husband is a leader and Christianity doesn't. That's not the point. The point is why each religion says the husband is the leader and what can result out of those scenarios. So when you think about these passages we looked at again, right? One of these, the Bible, is talking about giving honor, right? It's talking about being heirs, right? Both of a husband and a wife are heirs together. And it's talking about making sure your prayers are not hindered. So if you, as a believing husband, as a Christian, right, are not treating your wife well, you put yourself in a position where your prayers are going to be sabotaged, right? Your prayers are going to be sabotaged. Now, this is all encouragement this is all encouragement for a Christian man to do what's right by his wife, right? To treat her well. Because when you look at passages like Ephesians chapter 5, the whole point in that passage is to show you that a Christian marriage is a reflection of Christ and the church. So it needs to be done. It needs to represent God and godliness, basically. Well, on the flip side, in Islam, as you can see here, as we've read already, a husband in Islam, according to this passage in the Quran 4:34, is able to beat his wife, strike her, scourge her. The different translations say different things, and that's the power he has as the head, which is the complete opposite to what Christianity is obviously portraying. Now, as I've already said, any Muslim is welcome to call in and we can have a conversation about what we've read and what we're about to cover in more detail, right? This doesn't have to be anyway. This doesn't just have to be me talking about this kind of stuff. It can be anyone who's a Muslim who wants to come in, right? Now, as is the custom, we've seen this before. I'm not surprised that we're not going to see this again. You have people who will say stuff, right? Oh, like for example, just stop, right? Why would I just stop when we're talking about this particular topic? Okay, so look at this one right here, right? We're really getting the interesting sorts of questions. So this question right here, statement basically: as a Muslim girl, Islam is so perfect and gives us equal rights, so I don't know what you're on about. Now, it's interesting that this person says this. There's obviously two ways you can look at this. One way is you can think, well, this Muslimah who is saying this, number one, either doesn't know what the Quran says or the hadith, or number two is someone who is lying, right? Both of those scenarios can obviously be true. So for example, we've looked at a Quran verse already today, which says clearly a husband, Surah 4, chapter 34, says a husband is able to beat his wife, right? Now, we read 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7, which talks about a husband treating his wife well, so prayers are not hindered, so his prayers are not sabotaged, etc. And one of the reasons why I did that, because I want us to look at a hadith, right? This is a hadith that speaks about prayer, but also at the same time speaks about being beaten in the whole context of prayer. So this is from Sunan Ibn Dawud, right? Sunan Abu Dawud 2459. Sunan Abu Dawud 2459. You can look this up yourself. And the reason why this is so interesting is because so many Muslims, when we read 434, will say stuff like, oh, do you know Arabic? You're lying about what it says, etc. And it's funny because I've literally had on live streams Arabic speakers where I've called people out and said, no, you're lying. It doesn't say beat lightly or anything along those lines. It literally says you can strike them. I've had Arabic speakers who are Muslims confirm that I'm actually telling the truth. So the verse says what it says. I'm going to give you one of the videos I've got that I want us to walk through today is actually an Arabic speaker, a well-known Arabic speaker acknowledging and saying what I'm talking about, right? So I want to read this hadith. This is Sunan Ibn Dawud 2459. And notice what it says, right? So you can see this if you're watching on YT. It says, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khuduri. Notice what it says, right? It says, a woman came to the Prophet while we were with him. And it says, she said, Messenger of Allah, my husband, Safwan ibn al-Mu'attal, beats me when I pray and makes me break my fast when I keep a fast. And he does not offer the dawn prayer until the sun rises. Now, this is a hadith. And in this hadith, Sunan Abu Dawud 2459, a woman comes to the Prophet Muhammad and says, look, my husband beats me when I pray. My husband beats me when I pray. And he makes me break my fast when I keep a fast. Right? And he doesn't pray at the right time, basically. Now, think back to what we were talking about earlier on, right? And this is in light of the comment that you can see on screen. A Muslim are saying, I basically don't know what I'm talking about. Muslims have equal rights, right? Now, what's interesting about this is, think back to what I said about 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. That passage is talking about a husband treating his wife well, honoring her, right? Remembering that we are co-heirs as Christians, as a husband and a wife. Because if you don't, your prayers are going to be sabotaged. God isn't going to hear your prayer. God isn't going to answer your prayer. In this hadith, we're seeing that a Muslim man is literally beating his wife because she is praying too much, right? And notice what it says. There's two things I want you to realize from this. The first thing, it says as you continue reading, he asked Safwan, the husband, right, who was present, so he was there when she's complaining about this, what she had said. So Safwan replies to the messenger. He says, as for her statement that he beats me when I pray, he doesn't deny it. He says, she recites 2 surahs during prayer and I have prohibited her to do so. So the reason why he beat her, number one, he didn't say, I don't beat her. He says, I beat her because she prays too much. She's praying 2 prayers. She's reciting 2 surahs instead of reciting 1, right? She's doing too much in the realm of prayer. Where one religion is encouraging you to treat your wife well, so prayer can be well for you, in Islam, according to this hadith, it's actually the complete opposite. A woman who is praying too much, according to her husband, gave her the opportunity to get beaten by him. He doesn't deny it in the hadith and say, no, I'm not beating her. He says, I beat her because she prays too much. That was the first thing I want you to understand. He beat her, didn't deny it because she prayed too much. Now, the second thing I want you to understand is Muhammad's response in this hadith. Does he turn around and say, men and women have equal rights, like you can see this comment on screen? No. Does he turn around and say, no, you shouldn't be beating your wife? No. Listen to what the hadith says that Muhammad says in response. The Prophet said, if 1 surah is recited during prayer, this is sufficient for the people. And then Safwan continues speaking about the next thing, about him breaking her fast, right? But the point is, notice that Muhammad here didn't say, stop doing that, Safwan. It's not good for you to beat a woman here. He literally sides with the husband and says, okay, she's praying too much. You've told her not to pray too much. She's reciting 2 surahs. You said 1's enough. Muhammad says, okay, listen, if you recite 1 surah, it's fine. What does that show you in this hadith of Muhammad's view about a man striking his wife? Clearly that he doesn't care enough to tell the man to stop in this hadith. He's more focused on the fact that the husband said she's praying too much. and he agrees with her that she's praying too much. But at the same time, you have Muslims who have the cheek to say, well, Islam honors women more than Christianity, which makes no sense on so many different levels. All right, so obviously we looked at, and let me take this comment off screen. Let's see. And again, welcoming any Muslim to call in and to tell us why Islam honors women more than Christianity, when obviously we know that's not the truth. And you look at this comment here as well, right? This is another Muslim, I assume, saying it's actually forbidden to beat their wives. Well, obviously, clearly that's not true. The Quran, chapter 4, verse 34 says otherwise. And obviously we're reading a hadith right now, Sunan Abu Dawud 2459, which clearly debunks that. And yeah, someone was saying about equal rights. Let me talk about this comment here from Ecosmere. She says, okay, following the logic of the person who said earlier that there's equal rights, does that actually mean that she can beat her husband if she suspects him too? Obviously not. We know that's not the case. And literally, if you look at some of the sources on chapter 4, verse 34, the whole reason for that verse coming down, that a man is able to strike his wife, was because a woman came to the Prophet and was complaining and saying, my husband slapped me in the face, and she wants retaliation. And the verse came down, and basically she wasn't able to have retaliation. So they do not have equal rights in this particular scenario. Okay, now we've got another Muslim who is either lying or is ignorant, and he says, he basically is saying the Arabic word, I'm not going to butcher it right here, for strike does not mean beat / strike. You see, and this is what's funny. I'm gonna try and leave that comment on for as much as possible. In fact, let me even save this comment, because this will be relevant once we get into the videos, because this is what you hear over and over again. This word doesn't mean to strike or beat. Yes, it does. If you read the multiple translations of the Quran, so here International, Yusuf Ali, Pickthal, what are the other ones? I said here International, Yusuf Ali, like the multiple translations, you read it. These are all Arabic speakers who are translating it. Why would they say strike, beat, scourge? Why would they say these things if it doesn't say that in the Arabic? Of course it says that. And we know this says this. Okay, before I, let me not even get ahead of myself, right? Let's see. This is the kind of stuff, right? This is the kind of stuff which Muslims will have to say in order to get out of these conundrums, because they are conundrums which they're embarrassed by. Right? They're embarrassed. Even their scholars are embarrassed about it. They don't want people to know this stuff. But at the same time, you have Muslims saying Islam honors women better than Christianity. Let's see. Let me look at a couple more comments. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. You won't miss any future live streams when I'm showing you how to defend your faith against so many different angles that come against Christianity. From Muslims, from Orthodox Jews, from atheists, and Hebrew Israelites are typically who we engage with. Now, let's see. Hadith. No, that was the wrong comment. Someone says, well, yeah. Hadith are like, where is it? Hadith are like the Bible, apparently. What does it say? Hadith are like the Bible, not trustworthy until you can confirm it against the Quran. So think about that, right? The Quran says you can strike a woman. Then I show you Hadith, which shows a man striking his woman, and Muhammad agreeing with him and basically saying, basically it was fine for you to do it. It lines up with what the Quran says. But somehow you've got a Muslim here trying to run away from what's clearly linked. Like, it goes hand in hand. Right? What am I talking about? Someone's asking, well, clearly we're talking about how Islam doesn't honor women more than Christians, more than Christianity. It's the complete opposite. Even though you have Muslim apologists going around lying, releasing videos with over 1 million views talking about how Islam honors women more than Christianity, which is a lie. Now, I'm going to go back to this comment. I'll show it to you. All right. Mulexi, thank you for liking the live as well. Appreciate you. Make sure you are liking the live, ladies and gentlemen, and hearting, sending the hearts. It sends it out to more people. More people can see what needs to be seen. right? That Islam does not honor women more than Christianity. And I actually think I have to go back and get that comment, right? I want that comment about the Arabic word. Just give me 2 seconds and then we'll look into this video. Okay, cool. So this was a comment from earlier, which we've spoken about already, right? About how this word in Arabic apparently doesn't mean to beat and to strike. Now, it obviously does. When you read through some of the translations, you'll see some of the translations will say stuff like beat, and then in brackets will put lightly, which is a fake translation, right? It's fake. That's not in the Arabic at all, right? And it's obvious that that's the case, because even when you look at or you listen to Arabic scholars, right, they will tell you, like, they will basically try and have you believe that what is basically, they'll say, look, well, this doesn't mean to beat or to strike how you may think it means. What they'll tell you is, well, it means like you beat them lightly with a toothpick, right? Or a toothbrush, right? They call it a miswak. And their whole thing is, well, it's not like you don't break bones, you don't do any of that sort of stuff. You don't like punch or kick or hit in an aggressive way. It's really like a symbol, like a telling off, like behave, like be serious, etc. Right? So what I want to do, I've got a couple of videos, both from popular Muslim scholar Yasir Qhadi, right? And he's talking about this verse chapter 4, verse 34 of the Quran. And the reason why this is significant, because it is relevant to the comment you can see on screen right now, that it doesn't mean beat or strike. And I want you to think about this as we're watching this video, as Yasir Qhadi is trying to put a band-aid on what this verse says, but at the same time trying to be honest to what his religion actually teaches. So just listen to this, right? And again, anyone who wants to call in and have a conversation about this is welcome. But either way, right? Let's look at this. It'll be very beneficial. Thank you for liking the live, Magda. Appreciate you. All right. Let's watch. So this is Dr. Yasir Qhadi. He's talking about, now just to kind of give you some context here, right? This is a particular video where he's answering a question about if you can force yourself on your wife if she doesn't want to have intercourse with you. He's basically saying you can't do that, which we're not going to deal with in today's video. But within talking about that, answering that question, he speaks about chapter 4, verse 34, the verse we've been speaking about today, the verse in the Quran which allows a husband to beat his wife, right? To strike his wife, etc. Now, as we listen to him, as we look at this comment and we think about this comment on screen, which says that Arabic word in 434, which says strike, beat, scourge, as we think about this comment that says it doesn't mean to strike or to beat, think about if this guy who can speak Arabic, who's a scholar, right? If he's taking the interpretation, if he thinks that this Arabic word doesn't mean to beat or to strike. So it's a few minutes in, but this is where he begins speaking about the particular verse. So let's listen.
3 steps, which is the famous verse of Surah
Okay, hold on.
Nisa, which...
Let me just slow this down. Playback speed. Normal. Okay, cool. All right.
Does definitely require another question and answer. I'm not trying to avoid that, but I don't want to go down on that verse now because that is a whole different, issue.
And give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear him properly. All right. So he's basically just saying so far, as I wait for the thumbs up, he's basically just saying at this point, look, I'm going to talk about chapter 4, verse 34. It can take it needs its own time and its own explanation. Thank you, Magda, for the thumbs up. Appreciate you. He's basically saying this needs its own time, right? It needs its own time in order for us to break this down. But because it's relevant to this question, he's obviously going to it. So let's listen and see what he says.
We need to discuss, but the 3 steps that are mentioned in Surah An-Nisa, that the woman, and the primary context of this verse is about a lady who constantly refuses to engage in intimacy. That's the context of this verse, and that is the primary meaning of this verse. If the lady constantly refuses to be intimate with her husband, number 1, Allah says, advise her. فَعِظُوهُنَّ
Okay, so I'm not necessarily even going to say I agree with what he's saying so far. His whole point so far is the context of this passage, chapter 4, verse 34, where it gives a Muslim man the power to strike his wife. He's saying it's because it's a situation where a woman is not offering herself up to her husband on a consecutive basis, right? She's refusing to have intercourse with him. So based on that, and based on what Dr. Qhadi is saying here, he has three options.
No, right? Tell her that this is marriage is not going to flourish this way. I mean, it's not fair. What do you expect me to do? Marriage has to be based on love. You know, فَعِظُوهُنَّ, ask her of her rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, leave.
Okay, so number one, if she for some whatever reason isn't being intimate over a long period in time, right, then speak to her, number one, is what he says. Number two,
her in her bed. So abandon her. You go to the bedroom, to the living room, and you leave her in the bedroom. You make her understand that things are getting serious. The third thing.
So number two now, if you speak to her and say, look, come on, babes, what's going on? Like, and she doesn't. Number two, you don't share the bed with her anymore. Basically, you go and sleep somewhere else, as the verse says, basically. Now, number three, which is the key part of what we're talking about today, about striking a woman, right? Let's listen to what he says. And let's think about if, as the comment says, this Arabic word doesn't mean to strike or to beat. Let's think about if this guy who knows Arabic, who's an Arabic scholar, is agreeing with what I'm saying, that this does actually mean to beat and to strike, or like this comment on screen is saying, oh no, it doesn't mean to beat and to strike.
That is mentioned in the Quran. My philosophy or my fatwa is that in the cultures that we live in, this is an option, A, B, or C. It's not wajib. If you have to get to C, my advice is jump over C and move to divorce. Then if it's really not working and it's not, and you're not able to get to the marital happiness, فَعِظُوهُنَّ وَهْجُرُوهُنَّ. And then in the society, in the times, in the cultures that we live in, resorting to option C is going to break the marriage. There is no point of option C. When it was done in other societies and times, it might have saved the marriage. In some cultures, option C might have saved the marriage. But in the cultures, I'm talking about Western cultures in particular, I'm not speaking of any other culture, but definitely the Western cultures that we are born and raised in, option C is going to completely break the marriage. It's not going to flourish. So if there is no hope from option A and B, jump over option C, and then Bismillah, the marriage is not working out. It's not obligatory to remain married, and so Allah will take care of each one of them and find their happiness. Don't prolong the marriage when it's not working out. The point being,
so notice, right? I let him go for quite a bit, but notice his point in what he's saying. He actually said, if you were paying a lot of attention, he says, when we get to step 3, which means to strike, right, to beat them, he says his fatwa, so that's just basically his way of saying my opinion, my ruling, my law, basically he's making his own Quran, right? He says is to just skip over number 3, right? Just skip over number 3. Now, if this Arabic word doesn't mean to beat or to strike, why would he so uncomfortably, you can see in his body language, why would he say skip over number 3? And then he started speaking about the cultures and the times and all this different kind of stuff. Even though that Quran verse isn't just for that particular culture, because Muslims believe that the Quran is for all time, right? Unless a verse is abrogated, unless the verse isn't in force anymore, but that verse actually is. So he's saying, look, in the Western society, number 3 isn't going to work. Now, if number 3, as some Muslims who lie, or some Muslims who are ignorant, think, well, that means you just show them the toothpick, right? Why would he be saying skip over it? He knows he can't say skip over it because he knows what the passage is actually saying. This is obvious. So when Muslims out there who lie and say Islam honors women more than Christianity, this is just one example. You only need to know one verse, chapter 4, verse 34 in the Quran, which says a man is able to strike, to beat his wife, which you can't do that as a Christian. You can't do that as a Christian man against a Christian wife. And notice how it's like, yeah, well, the Western Muslims, in the West especially, we're not going to do this. I'm just saying skip over it. Don't do it. Really, Qhadi, he's really saying skip over using the miswak? Or is Dr. Qhadi realizing and acknowledging truthfully that he knows what this Arabic word says? He knows what it means. He knows the sources that are in the hadith which corroborate this verse. He doesn't want to lie and deceive on this particular occasion and say, no, this is not what it means. He's just saying, look, just skip over it. Skip over it. Let's go back a little bit and hear him again. This is what you'll see so many Muslims do, right? You have Muslims who are deceived, like this individual, his comment, it doesn't mean that, etc. When really and truly, if you speak to Arabic speakers, they will tell you, right? And you have to think about it from this perspective. Why don't they want you to know this? Why will they attack us as Christians? Right? Why will they attack us as Christians and say we're lying? We don't know what we're talking about. When even the Arabic scholars, when they're pressed to speak about it, notice he didn't want to speak about it, but he said, you know what, I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. And if we have time to get to the next video, you'll see it even more, how uncomfortable he is speaking about this particular passage, right? And how he's just running away from it. Let's see. Islam is apparently the best. You agree then, a religion that allows a husband to beat his wife, you think that's the best religion, right? Interesting. Very interesting. That's his interpretation. I could agree with you, like I said at the beginning, like about it being on that particular scenario, but the interpretation of the word, well, he's in line with many Arabic speakers who know what it says and don't try and lie and say it doesn't mean strike or it doesn't mean beat, etc. Let's see. Look, and this is always going to be a funny comment, right? Just respect other religions, it's not that hard. Well, would you say that to the Muslim man who made a video talking about lying about how Islam honors women more than Christianity with over 1 million views? You wouldn't say that to him, most likely, right? When the Muslims are doing stuff lying against Christianity, right, the Muslims typically are not going to say anything. But when a Christian is coming and speaking the truth, speaking facts, all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, don't say anything, leave everybody to their own religion, which makes no sense, right? Let's see. Thank you for liking the live. And exactly, right? Yasir Qhadi in his warped mind is saying somehow beating your wife is something that may actually save the marriage. On what planet, right? On what planet, if you have a husband and a wife and they're apparently in problems, on what planet is a husband beating his wife going to save the marriage? You mean to tell us, right? He wants you for us to believe that a woman is going to get beat up and then say, okay, you know what? I want to stay in this marriage. I want to stay in a marriage where I'm getting beat up. This is what Islam does to you. Let's see. Let's see what else. All right. Why is it bad for women? This is one example we're talking about right now. Islam, according to Surah 434, allows a Muslim man to beat his wife. And we're hearing Dr. Yasir Qhadi here in this particular video try and dress it up and hide it. He actually said, which is crazy, right? Skip over the third option. So this is the kind of thing that you see in this religion with some of their scholars, because they're embarrassed about what the Bible says. Not the Bible, they're embarrassed about what the Quran says. So instead of them to say, you know what, this is what the Quran says, this is the word of God, we have to stick to it, etc., they lie about what it says. They try and add confusion to what's being said, right? So that's why it's bad. Where does it say you can beat your wife in the Quran? Chapter 4, verse 34. We looked at hadith as well. Sunan Abu Dawud 2459, I believe. Let's see. Again, anyone who wants to have a conversation, you can call in and we can have a conversation about it. I'm just reading sources, Islamic sources, but I'm tripping. This is Islam. It doesn't say beat, it says strike. This is the logic that we're dealing with. It doesn't say beat, it says strike. Wow. All right. Thank you for the follow. All right, let's continue listening to what he says, right? I said we're going to go back. Let's listen. Notice how he tries to cover it up.
Is the point of option C, when it was done in other societies and times, it might have saved the marriage. In some cultures, option C might have...
In some cultures, in some times in the past, he says, beating your wife, striking them could have saved the marriage.
It's not, and you're not able to get to the marital happiness. فَعِظُهُنَّ وَهْجُرُهُنَّ. And then in the society and the times and the cultures that we live in, resorting to option C is going to break the marriage. There is the point of option C, when it was done in other societies and times, it might have saved the marriage. In some cultures, option C might have saved the marriage. But in the cultures, I'm talking about Western cultures in particular, I'm not speaking of any other culture, but definitely the Western cultures that we are born and raised in, option C is going to completely break the marriage. It's not going to flourish. So if there is no hope from option A and B, jump over option C, and then Bismillah, the marriage is not working out. It's not obligatory to remain married, and so Allah will take care of each one of them and find their happiness. Don't prolong the marriage when it's not working out. The point being, though, that even in these three options, even in these three, you are not allowed to force intimacy on your spouse. Think about that, right? Even in these three, there is no option of forcing intimacy. You cannot force intimacy on your spouse. Rather, you encourage, you entice, and you remind, and then if it gets really bad, you sleep in the living room, or you leave the bedroom for a while. And also arbitration and other things can be done of this nature. And as well, sisters should realize that.
So notice, he doesn't even want to talk about the striking. He's so embarrassed. He doesn't want to talk about it. Oh, just skip over it. This is my philosophy. This is my view. Just skip over it. And it's amazing how people are saying, I'm looking for attention. And I said this before. The Muslim man who made a video, which has got over 1 million views, saying Islam honors women more than Christianity, was he looking for attention? Are you going to use the same logic on him? But when a Christian starts having the same conversation based on videos like that, all of a sudden, I'm the one that apparently needs attention. Do you see how the deflection is so real? You have to run away from what's clear and obvious. They have to start saying all of this other stuff, right? This is clear, this is obvious in the Quran, right? Look at this, right? It's supposed to be a light. It's supposed to be a light as a miswak. I was talking about this earlier, right? A toothpick or a toothbrush. And if he tries to abuse her, she can initiate divorce. Now, notice, does it sound like what we were watching that video from Yasir Qhadi as he's breaking down this verse, right? In regards to this question, he's talking about a miswak, something light. Of course not. Of course not. We looked at this hadith before. I'll read some of it again. Do you think in this hadith, Sunan Abu Dawud 2459, where the woman is saying, my husband, she came to the Prophet Muhammad and said, my husband, it beats me when I pray. Do you think she's coming to complain to Muhammad because he's beating her lightly with a miswak? Of course not, right? Nothing. It's got nothing to do with that. Anyone who acknowledges what the Arabic says in the verse and reads sources like this understands that that's not actually what's actually going on. Let's see. I apparently need guidance when I'm clearly on the same line with the top scholars in Islam who are who are acknowledging not that this word means to beat lightly, right? Imagine, I always talk about this, right? This is one of the things you have to be careful with when you are defending your faith as a Christian. Be careful of the ad hominem, the person who starts attacking you as your character instead of actually dealing with what's being said. So Zizi says, my father abandoned him. What a lie from the pit of hell, right? What a lie from the pit of hell. Like, and what's actually, I'm not even going to get into that, but it just shows you, right? Be aware of the people that will try and say things to try and distract you or to try and basically just lie to get you focused on other stuff, which is not true. Now, what I want us to do, right? This is another video from Yasir Qhadi. Now, and in this particular video, right, he basically is talking about this verse but in more detail now, And again, I want you to think about, we've looked at comments today which are saying, oh, well, this Arabic word doesn't mean to beat or to strike, or strike and beat aren't the same thing, or it means lightly with a toothbrush or toothpick, etc. You've heard Yasir Qhadi talk about this verse already and basically show you, obviously, he wouldn't be saying just skip over step 3, right? Skip over striking, because in the Western world it's not going to work, right? So even if you think about that, or in the Eastern world, is it going to work? That's what you have to think about it from that perspective, right? Always think about what someone is saying and think about the opposite of what they're saying. And here we're going to see him. Watch how uncomfortable he is as he's talking about this. And again, does this sound like a man who is, number one, saying this Arabic word doesn't mean to beat? Is that what he's saying? Of course not. And number two, is he agreeing with people like me who clearly know that the Quran is teaching that a Muslim man can strike his wife, can beat his wife? Not lightly. He can beat her much more harshly than lightly, obviously. The Quran is alluding to that. The hadith are alluding to that as well. Listen to what he says on this particular verse, right? Different video, same man, and you can see that Islam does not honor women more than Christianity. Again, we spoke about this earlier on. We looked at 2 verses. We looked at a verse from the Bible, 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, which talked about a husband dwelling with his wife, honoring his wife, treating his wife lovely, carefully, because his prayers are not going to be heard by God if he doesn't, right? We are co-heirs together. And in contrast, we looked at Quran, Surah 4:34, which is talking about a husband, if he fears disobedience. It doesn't say she has been disobedient. If he fears rebellion, it doesn't say she has been rebellious. If he has a thought in his mind, you know what? My wife is being rebellious. Speak to her. Don't sleep in the same bed with her and then strike her, beat her, scourge her. These are the different words used in the different Arabic translations by Arabic speakers. But Muslims will still try and get us to believe, as Christians who speak about this, that we are confused. We don't know what we're talking about, etc. Notice this, right? Where does it say scourge? Go through the different translations of the Quran and you will see it. Some translations say beat, some say strike, some say scourge. There's different words, all basically showing you what the word means, right? That's what you have to remember. So let's go back to this video. And let's see. This is just one reason, guys, why you know Islam doesn't honor women more than Christianity. If you ever hear this lie, if you ever hear a Muslim trying to spin this web about why a woman should be a Muslim over a Christian, just remember 4:34, right? It says a husband can strike his wife, which is one reason, and one reason enough why we know clearly that Islam does not honor women more than Christians. Notice why, like I said earlier, we've been doing this series for multiple sessions. Notice why you can see loads of Muslims speaking tough in the comment section, but no one wants to call in. No one wants to have a conversation about it. Why? Because they know exactly what I'm saying is true. Let's listen to what he has to say here. He's going to speak for a few minutes. I'm going to stop it as time goes on. But just listen to him.
Of course, in these series of verses as well, there is a verse that...
And again, let me turn this off. Double speed. All right.
No, that's not the way of the believer.
Give me a thumbs up in the chat as well if you can hear it properly.
And Allah lays punishments down for this as well. And of course, in...
Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. All right.
These series of verses as well, there is a verse that has brought a lot of discussion, frankly, a lot of controversy. And I was debating whether to even pause here or not, because if I do pause, I cannot do justice. If I don't pause, then people are going to say, oh, you didn't talk about this verse. I decided to spend 2-3 minutes and then move on. Truly, this is...
So notice, right? Notice what he says. He's like, look, in this section, because he's talking about the whole chapter 4, right? He said, in this section, there's this section in this chapter talking about verse 34 of chapter 4. And he's like, well, I was debating, should I cover it? Should I not cover it? If I cover it, I need to spend some time on it. It's something that needs a lot of time. But if I don't cover it, they're going to say that I'm running away from it, I'm afraid of it, etc. Now, what would be so difficult about this verse to read if it's speaking about striking with a toothpick or striking with a toothbrush, something light which isn't serious? It would be easy for him to just say, yeah, this is it, etc. But he knows the problem. But he says, nonetheless, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes speaking about it. Now let's listen to what he has to say. Now he's already rubbing his head, he's touching himself all over his face. He's clearly uncomfortable about this. You can hear it in his voice. And if you're watching the video along with us, you can see it as well. Right? Let's continue.
Is a verse that has generated a lot of discussion. A lot of people have been critical of our faith from outside Islam. Even some Muslims have radically reinterpreted this verse because it does raise an eyebrow. It raises a lot of questions. It is verse number 34.
Now listen, this is what's so funny. I want you to catch what he said, which is amazing to me. He says, this verse has been the reason behind a lot of criticism from people outside of Islam. And then in the next sentence he says, and even Muslim scholars have tried to change and move away from what it means because they're uncomfortable with it. So that obviously shows you that the criticisms that are coming from outside are valid. If they weren't valid, why would Muslim scholars be trying to separate and move away from what the verse says? We just saw a different video where Dr. Qhadi was doing literally what he just said scholars are doing. They're trying to deviate and move away from the passage. You heard him in the previous video say, well, my fatwa, my ruling is just use step 1 and step 2. Speak to them or sleep in a different bed. Skip over step 3. Don't strike them. Forget about that. Just divorce them. He's literally doing the thing he says and complaining about in this video that other people shouldn't do, which is so funny. But listen to him again.
Islam, even some Muslims have truly, this is a verse that has generated a lot of discussion. A lot of people have been critical of our faith from outside Islam. Even some Muslims have radically reinterpreted this verse because it does raise an eyebrow. It raises a lot.
It raises an eyebrow. It raises a question. What would raise an eyebrow and a question about a symbol miswak, a symbol toothpick to a woman? Clearly because he understands and knows this is not just talking about some symbolic tap with a toothpick. He knows what it means, right? He knows what it means. They definitely make it up as they go along, right? Let's continue.
The questions, it is verse number 34. And
so you heard him yourself, right? A Muslim scholar, well respected, is saying this verse raises a lot of eyebrows, raises a lot of questions. So when Christians like me or anyone else speaks about this verse, don't, like the Muslims that are trying to play it down, downplay it and act like this isn't saying what it means, you know, they don't want you to speak about it.
Much can be said. Time is always limited, and especially in this verse. But I just want to lay out for you that, look, let us acknowledge that this verse should be discussed in a very educated manner. We need to discuss this. Maybe, inshallah, I myself might give a longer lecture later on. But this verse translates as follows.
And I would love, just for the record, I'd love to hear him, based on his own admission, spend loads of time speaking about this verse.
Men are the protectors and maintainers of women. Ar-rijal qawwam. Qawwam means to protect. Qiwama means to take care of. Qiwama means to be in charge of. And so there is this notion of, in terms of roles and responsibilities, men have certain responsibilities towards women. Why? Because Allah has given the one what He has not given the other. Our scholars mention Allah has made the one physically stronger. When you have to have a fight with an intruder, when you have to go fight in war, one of the two genders is better equipped than the other. So Allah is saying, when it comes to qiwama, when it comes to...
And imagine what he's saying, right? Which Christians wouldn't agree. I spoke about this earlier on, right? Both Christians and Muslims believe that a husband is the leader of the house, right? We both believe this. This is not an issue. This is not something that we're going to debate over back and forth between Muslims and Christians and Muslims. We're not going to debate over that, right? We both are in line. But I mentioned earlier, we're in line, but for different reasons. So you just heard Dr. Qhadi saying, well, look, God has made men naturally stronger than women, which is true, right? But he says, look, the man is the one that goes out to fight against opposition, to fight against the enemy, which, yes, is true. We send out men to go to war. We don't send women to go out to war. We know that's not the right thing to do. If women are going out to war, that obviously means something drastic has already happened to men, right? That would be some crazy extreme scenario. But notice this. He's talking about men going out to fight against the enemy, when the very verse he's talking about is not only limiting to that, it's saying you can strike your wife. So not only going outside to fight, you can fight inside. And notice how he's saying, which is so crazy. He's saying God has made a man naturally stronger than a woman. And whereas in Christianity, the whole guidance and instruction to us as Christian husbands is, because you are stronger than your wife, you have to take care of your wife. You have to look after your wife because you're stronger than her. Where in Islam is actually, according to verses like 434, you are stronger. And because you are stronger, that means in certain situations, you can actually take advantage of them being stronger and beat them and strike them. He doesn't even understand how he's destroying his religion, destroying his whole argument by the things he's actually saying. If you slow it down and think about what he's actually saying step by step. Let's continue.
Protection and responsibility and maintenance. الرجال قوامون على النساء. Why? Because the one has been given certain things the other has not been given, and because the one is in charge of the finances, right? One of them is in charge of the money. So whoever has been given, in this case the gender is the male, whoever has been given certain differences biologically, and whoever has the responsibility of giving the money, that comes with certain privileges and certain responsibilities. And then Allah praises women, that the righteous women are those who obey Allah, who guard what Allah has asked them to guard. And then a phrase occurs that has generated over a dozen dissertations, over 100 articles, many YouTube videos, and people have even a'udhu billah, left Islam because of this. So I do need to just reference it, and I say I cannot do justice to the verse. Much more can be said, but the verse translates, as for those whose nushuz you fear, as for those ladies whose disloyalty you fear. Now, what does nushuz mean? There's a long list of different interpretations. One interpretation is whose disloyalty, i.e. you fear that they might lean towards breaking the bonds of marriage and engaging in extramarital affairs. So
remember as well, right? He just said there's so many different interpretations of what a husband fearing rebellion actually means. But what I want you to understand, I said this before, I'm going to say this again. This is a fear of rebellion. It's not that she actually is being rebellious. You don't know that as a Muslim man. It's maybe, is she? You have a doubt in your mind or in your heart that your wife is doing something. And then because of that, you now start going through either telling them off, not sleeping in the same bed with them, or striking them, beating them, right? Just notice this. Let's continue.
If there is that type of fear, then the Quran is saying فَعِظُوهُنَّ, admonish them, وَهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ, that abandon them in their beds, وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ, and discipline them. Now, of course, the phrase discipline them, this is the phrase that has generated so much issues and discussion and controversy, and this is not the place to go into a lot of detail, but I do want to point out here that we do need to be frank about this and take a holistic look. Let us be careful that our own prejudices don't read in. Let us be careful that we don't react or counter-react. Let us be careful and gather together all the relevant verses and all of the hadith. Okay, this is an ayah in the Quran, and the meaning is very clear. At the same time, let us...
Did you hear what he just said, guys and gals? The meaning is very clear. When he read the translation, he said it means discipline them. But then he started saying, look, well, basically, let's not run from it. Let's not hide from it. And he's saying, look, what, I would love more time to speak on it. But you just heard him say it yourself. It's clear. It's clear to anybody who reads that verse, who doesn't have an agenda. As he said, don't put your biases into it. People know, like, we're not dummies. Anyone who can read coherently on a basic level knows what the passage says. And once you get past the lie that some Muslims want you to believe that it doesn't mean strike, it doesn't mean this, it's clear for everybody to see. He knows this, right? He knows this. It's obvious. They definitely beat their wives because they have weak minds. And this is the whole point of what I was saying earlier on, right? Christianity tells you to, as a man, as a Christian man, as a husband who's stronger than his wife, not to use that to your advantage, to beat your wife or to take advantage of her. Completely opposite. Elevate your wife because you are co-heirs together in Christ. Islam says, no, you're stronger than her. So if she gets out of line, strike her, beat her. We looked at the hadith earlier, right? Sunan Ibn Dawud 2459. A woman is coming to Muhammad and saying, my husband is beating me because I pray too much. Imagine the irony. A woman is praying. She's doing a spiritual act. She's trying to get closer to her God, and her husband is beating her and saying she's praying too much. And Muhammad doesn't say, no, leave her. He says, you're right, pray less. And this is a religion full of people who think that this religion honors women more than Christianity. You should never believe these lies. And this is why we do these live streams. Despite Muslims in the comment section talking about how my dad apparently abandoned me, which is a lie, or my wife doesn't love me, which is also a lie. This is what they have to resort to when they're embarrassed and they don't want to talk about what's clear in their sources. And I agree. And this is why someone like Dr. Yasir Qhadi is so interesting, because he clearly lies a lot of the time, but when he's actually honest, it's so helpful, because you have so many Muslims. We've seen it again today in the previous live streams I've done on Islam. They always try and hide behind, oh, it doesn't say that in Arabic. Oh, it doesn't say that. You show them the translations, they still say it. You show them Arabic speakers, they still say it, right? It's so crazy how you have these Muslim men and women who are so deceived. They don't even want to just let what's true right in front of them in these verses to speak. Let's continue. All right. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Also remember the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, our mother Aisha said, our Prophet ﷺ never once lifted his hand against a servant or against a lady. And let us also remember...
And that's a lie, by the way. That's actually a lie. Even in the Muslim sources, that's a lie.
That once he gave an entire sermon in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. He gave a sermon and he received a lot of complaints the night before about women who had been admonished or who had been disciplined by their husbands. And these women complained to the Prophet ﷺ. And he then gave an entire khutbah. He gathered the men and he said, last night many people complained, or in one version, this morning many people complained, many ladies complained against their husbands. And these men are not the best men amongst you. The hadith as well.
And you know what's actually crazy, right? Like, we've looked at the hadith in a previous stream. That's Sunan Ibn Majah 1985. And he's kind of distorting the passage, right? But if you read it, basically what happens? Umar, one of Muhammad's right-hand men, Muhammad basically says, don't beat women. This is what happens in the hadith. He says, don't beat women. Then Umar, one of Muhammad's right-hand men, says, but the women now, because you've said we can't beat them, have become bolder. Which makes sense. If you're a Muslim man and you think, well, I can beat up my wife if she steps out of line, most women are obviously not going to step out of line, right? They're going to be afraid of their husbands, obviously. So Muhammad says, don't beat them anymore. Sunan Ibn Majah 1985. Then Umar says, but now they're being rude. Now they're stepping up. They're not following what we say, etc. They're rebellious, right? Order us to be able to beat them again. And then what does Muhammad do in that hadith? Does he turn around and say, no, Umar, I've already told you don't beat them. The hadith actually says, he then ordered that they can be beaten. This is the hadith that Dr. Qhadi is glossing over here. So then it says, then they were beaten. So Muhammad, who apparently cares about women not being beaten, just like a flip of a hat, because a man says, look, the women are being rude now, let's beat them. He says, okay, go and beat them. So they get beaten. All of the men are obviously feeling strong again, which is, they're just cowards ultimately, right? They start beating their wives. The very next night, right, or next morning, sorry, it says like 70 women come to his house and they're complaining about their husbands. Because what do you think happened after Muhammad said, okay, cool, you can beat them again? All of those cowards, Muslim husbands who wanted to beat their wives, went and started beating their wives again. 70 plus of them, right? Tens, loads of them. They now go to his house, they're complaining. And then Muhammad says in the hadith, loads of women have come to my house, to my family's house, and this is a problem. Notice, he's heard that loads of women have come to complain the night before because they got beat up by their husbands. He doesn't say it was bad that you beat them. He's more concerned at the fact that they came to complain. And then at the end of the hadith, it says something like, oh, Muhammad says, those of you who do this are not the best of Muslims. Notice what he didn't say though. He didn't say beating your wife is bad. And he didn't even say you're not a Muslim for doing it. Imagine. So any Muslim man could have walked away that day and said, well, I could actually still beat my wife because I'm still a Muslim, which is crazy. But it just shows you either way, right? How these men like Yasir Qhadi will speak about some of this stuff and they will fudge. They'll fudge the data, right? And imagine this, Prophet Muhammad's last words were keep women safe. Do you think that would be a contradiction to chapter 4, verse 34? If you fear rebellion. That is one of the ways, according to Yasir Qhadi, in certain cultures, which would actually revive a marriage, which makes no sense. And yes, it is indeed. It is sometimes heartbreaking to see women being manipulated, especially by religious leaders. And you know what's crazy about this? I've mentioned this before. In Islam, there's sources in Islam that say that a woman has a deficient mind, right? A woman's mind is deficient. So Muslim men who hear this stuff and believe this stuff, they actually think like, yeah, a woman's mind is inferior than a man's, right? Definitely, guys, hit the like button, hit the heart button with that miswak, as the Muslim men trying to protect their religion will say, right? They'll try and lie and say, it only means a toothbrush, but definitely strike that like button, guys, lightly, right? Like Muhammad said you should. All right. Let's keep going. Let's listen to what he has to say.
All of our Prophet ﷺ, that the best of you are those who treat their women the best. So all of these hadith and other Quranic verses include.
And notice the funny thing, right? He's talking about another reference which says the best of you are the ones that treat your women best. Wouldn't following 434 of the Quran, speaking to them, then banishing them from your beds and beating them, that would be part of what the Quran corpus of treating your woman the best, following those stages, not beating her up straight away if they want to say that, but it would be actually part of the instruction of how they treat a woman.
Including the one in Surah An-Nisa, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and live with women in the best of all manners. They have to be taken all together. Now, all fine and dandy, what is to be done with this phrase here? Again, much can be said. I'll quote you one of the great scholars of tafsir of the last century, Ibn Ashur. Ibn Ashur said that if we see that men are abusing this concession, because it is a concession, it's not obligatory. Do step one if you want to. If not, you can divorce. Do step two if you want to. If not, you can divorce. If you want to, there's a possibility that the marriage will retain. If you do step three, you're allowed to do step three. So Imam Ibn Ashur said that if...
So you can hear him saying it yourself. You can do step one, you can do step two, you can do step three. He's reluctant to say it, but he's at least being honest enough here in this talk he's giving about chapter 4 in the Quran to say, yes, it says you can do it. Now, does this look like he thinks this interpretation of this verse is a toothpick or a little miswak, right? A toothbrush? Of course not. He knows what this means. And he's just saying, well, look, it's only a concession. It's only something you can do under certain circumstances. I remember speaking to a Muslim maybe a couple of weeks ago, and his whole point was, he was actually trying to fight against me, saying, oh, you're ignorant, you didn't talk about the stages. And I'm like, bro, you're missing the whole point. Even if I grant you that there's stages, you speak first and you banish them from the beds and then you strike them, that's not the point. The point is, the reason Islam doesn't honor women more than Christianity is because in Islam, a husband can strike his wife. Whether you put stages or not, that is the problem. And he couldn't see it. He was so blind to what I'm actually saying to him, what the Quran says, what the hadith was saying, it was going right over his head. This is what spiritual blindness can do to you. When you look at something which you know is evil, which you know is wrong, but you still say, okay, yeah, you know what, it's fine, because it's your religion. You can't make this up.
Step 3 is not doing its job. The state can intervene and forbid step 3 from taking place. And the state can take charge of this issue. And in other words, if I can rephrase, it's not exactly what Ibn Ashur said, let me rephrase though. And this is what I say when I teach advanced students and whatnot. This is what I say, that look, the Quran is meant to cater to all situations. And in this particular scenario, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed, it is an allowance, it's not an obligation, various tactics that are meant to protect a marriage in very extenuating circumstances. And if in a particular place and time, a particular tactic is not going to work, in fact, it is within the goals of the Sharia to then say, this tactic is not the intent of the Sharia.
Notice the whole time he's talking, he's not saying it doesn't say it. Just notice that. He hasn't said one time, this isn't saying you can't strike your wife. He clearly knows and is acknowledging this is what it says. But he doesn't want to just like say it clearly. Yes, Islam teaches in chapter 4 verse 34 of the Quran that a husband can strike his wife. Notice.
In this society that we live in. And so if the situation gets that bad, we simply do tactic 1, move on to tactic 2, and then if it doesn't work out, we part on good ways and there's no need to resort to tactic 3. And again, much more can be said.
Why would there be no reason as a Muslim to not use what the Quran is giving you license to? Do you see like how ashamed he is of what the Quran actually says? He's trying to be honest to what the text says, but at the same time, he's like, look, well, if 1 and 2 doesn't work, if you talk to them, if you go into a different bed, then just divorce them. Forget about step 3. When the Quran didn't say forget about step 3, the Quran's actually said this is something you can do. If you fear rebellion against your wife, talk to them, sleep in a separate bed, and then strike them. But he wants you to just forget about it. Don't worry about that one. Why, again, I'm going to keep saying this. Why would he be saying forget about it if it really is just symbolic with a toothpick, with a miswak? It's because he knows, like so many other Muslim scholars know, it says clearly you can strike them. They know it. And instead of him to just say, you know what, this is my religion, this is what it says, I'm going to own it, he runs away from it. He hides it. But at the same time, like I've said multiple times today in today's live stream, you have Muslims all over the place releasing videos talking about Islam honors women more than Christianity. On what planet? Because definitely not on Earth. Let's see. And again, just be aware, guys, of people who will say stuff to try and distract you. Exactly. On a different planet, because it definitely isn't Earth. Maybe Uranus. Hello, Adam. Are you a Muslim?
Hey, yep.
How can I help you?
Oh, I would push back against
You would push back on what?
that Christianity is better for women. I would argue it's women.
Do you think it's a good thing for a Muslim man to be able to hit his wife?
I'd argue it's degrees better than a man paying 50 shekels after he grapes a woman and takes her, which is what the Bible in Deuteronomy 22:29 says.
No, it's not.
Oh, shit, yeah. You're going to whitewash that, buddy?
What?
You're going to try to whitewash that or throw the Old Testament under the bus like you guys do?
Do you literally think I'm going to be doing a live stream talking about how Muslims are ashamed of their religion to now go and be ashamed of my... Listen, as a Christian, I accept everything in the Bible. Point blank.
Then
that's why when you try...
moral?
I just told you already, it doesn't say that. That's an interpretation, but I don't believe that's the correct interpretation. So back to the question I asked you. Is it acceptable Do you think it's good for a man to beat his wife? You're being just like Dr. Qhadi right now, and you won't just say.
Well, you just dodged my question.
I didn't dodge anything. I literally answered you.
So you're saying
what are you talking about? Which what? Which what?
Deuteronomy 22:29.
I already said to you that's not what it says. I already told you that. It was here. Everybody heard me say that. That's an interpretation that some people take. That's not the correct interpretation. Now back to the question I asked you. Stop running. Yes, I'm serious. Stop running. Is it okay? Is it okay for a Muslim man to strike his wife? Yes or no?
I'll answer after you answer mine.
No, answer my question. I already answered your question. Now answer my question.
You're saying it's an interpretation when the verse is clear.
No, it's not.
Okay, let's read it.
No.
Yep, as usual, Christians scared of the Old Testament and
I'm so scared. I'm so scared that I've even done videos on that particular
that your
passage.
book allows grape and taking the woman after paying 50 shekels.
Really?
Great book for women, buddy.
All right. So you don't want to talk about your Quran. You're afraid of your Quran. You're running to something else and trying to say I'm running.
And you're running to the Quran because you can't enter the Bible.
I'm not running from it. I literally answered you directly as soon as you said it, and you can't deal with it. So you're now trying to.
You dodge it by saying it's an interpretation, even though the verse is as clear as daylight.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, let's read it.
You know what's so crazy, right? Just notice this as well. No, notice this as well, which is so funny.
Of course.
I'm petrified. Really, I'm really petrified. What's so crazy about this is, I literally said earlier when I was reading 434 that you read through the different translations of the Quran verse from different translations, and this is how you come to the conclusion that it's not being beaten lightly. It doesn't mean that. That's a lie of a translation. Why would I say that? Because like I said to this guy who for some reason didn't understand it the first time I said it to him, that's not the correct translation. That is one interpretation that some people take. But number one, when you analyze different translations of that passage, they don't all say the same thing. So they actually lean more to the interpretation that I'm saying, not what he's saying. And then that's how you now go into, you look at the words, you look at the context of the words, you look at all of this different stuff, etc. So he thinks I'm running from the passage. I'm not running from the passage. Like, why would I be afraid? I already said to him, I'm not afraid of anything in the Bible. I can speak about anything in the Bible. That's not a problem. But notice how he's quick to run away from what the Quran says. He doesn't want to answer about the Quran because he's ashamed, just like Dr. Qhadi is ashamed, even though he knows what it says. Islam doesn't say what? Cool.
Yeah, hello?
Hello. Are you a Muslim?
Yes, I'm a Muslim.
Okay, what were you saying the Quran doesn't say?
I'm going to tell you something. The Bible allows full.
Listen. What did you say? What?
It says the Bible literally says a man can beat his slave woman as long as she doesn't die within 2 days.
What?
Yep. And Islam condemns beating. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He literally
condemns.
said, "Do not harm your wives." He said, "Could any of you beat your wife like a slave in the day and then sleep with her at night?" No.
Said, slow down. Listen.
Why are you lying, man?
Listen. You said it doesn't say what in the Quran?
It does not allow you to hit your wife, bro.
It doesn't allow you to hit your wife.
The Prophet said, "Do not harm your wives."
You said it doesn't say in the Quran to hit your wife.
You cannot injure, you cannot leave a bruise, anything that resembles modern hitting is prohibited. Separation, a symbol of show of seriousness, not physical violence, is allowed.
Okay.
They do not allow physical
Chapter
violence.
4.
The Prophet has said it many times.
Chapter 4. All right. Clearly, I don't understand why these Muslims can't control themselves. He wants to just talk, and he thinks that's going to do something. These Muslims are a piece of work. I'll just put it like that. He's literally saying that it doesn't say that in the Quran when we've literally read the verse. We've heard Dr. Qhadi talking about what the verse actually says. The verse clearly says to strike. But you've got Muslims talking about it doesn't say strike. and he's quoting a hadith. The hadith he was quoting about don't flog your wife as you flog a slave and then sleep with her in the same night. It doesn't even say that's a specific example. If you even want to take the hadith, it's not saying don't beat them across the board. It's saying don't beat them and then go and have relations with them. Which again, if you think, why would he even need to say that? Because that shows you that Muslim men were beating their wives up and then thinking, well, but the Quran says, I can sleep with my wife whenever I want. So even though I've just beaten her up, I'd still need to do it. I can still go and do it. And he's saying, don't beat them like you're beating a slave and then going to sleep with them. Right? And we've got a good old miswak tap comment again, which is so funny. Right? This is clearly not what it's saying. Clearly not what I'm saying. You have these guys, right? They'll come on and they're just trying to spew out this stuff quickly instead of actually engaging with what's actually being said. Notice they come up and they say, well, it doesn't say that when it clearly does say it. This is what they have to do. They have to lie against what their Quran actually says because they're ashamed. They're embarrassed. Let's continue with Dr. Qhadi and see what he has to say.
This is not the time, but I did want to not just gloss over it, because I do realize that anytime this verse is read, it raises a lot of discussions and whatnot. And you know what? Curiosity is healthy, and we should ask and we should read. At the same time, we should be brave enough, intellectually brave enough, and we should have enough faith as well to try to reconcile our cultures with our texts. And we thank Allah that this is not an obligation. It is a concession. It is a tactic. And if the tactic is not reaching the goal, then there is no need to insist on the tactic. I have to be very clear here.
So he says it's a tactic. It's a tactic which has a goal in mind. And the goal is to save the marriage, apparently. One of the tactics, according to Dr. Qhadi, based on this verse, to save a marriage is to strike your wife.
Sometimes some of us, especially the youngsters, they become overzealous, more so than the Sharia requires. And they feel that they're defending the Sharia by being absolute literalists. And that's not what any trained scholar understands. Trained ulama are not minor students of knowledge who can copy and paste and use Google. The difference between an actual alim and a student of knowledge is that the student of knowledge sticks with the literal books that he's read. And the true alim is brave enough to explore and move beyond that within the, obviously, many caveats, but obviously within the paradigm and the methodology of mainstream Islam. Nonetheless, I wanted to point out that that is indeed a verse that deserves more attention. And let us not forget as well that Surah An-Nisa, the same verse that has this, also has verse number 19, that Allah says, وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, live with women in the best of kindness. Bil-ma'ruf means that live with them and treat them in the way that your society treats them in the best of manners. Because treatment of husbands and wives, treatments of men and women, it varies from culture to culture, time to time, place to place. And yesterday I mentioned that.
And what's actually crazy about what he's saying, right? I remember a Muslim tried to drop verse 19 on me before. And when you actually read the verse and you read the commentary on the verse, it's not even talking about all women. It's talking about women who, how can I put it? Someone in your family, let's say for example, because traditionally in that period in time for them, let's say for example a son, his dad was married to someone. The assumption in my mind is that it wasn't his wife. It wasn't the son's mom, like a different woman. Those women would now be given to the son. They would inherit them as wives. That's the woman it's talking about in that particular passage. It's not even, it's basically saying don't rob them, etc. and stuff like that. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about just a general woman in verse 19, even though Yasir Qhadi is here trying to make it out like it is, which is not the case. But notice, throughout this whole video, the video we watched before from Dr. Qhadi and this video, debunking the myth that lots of Muslims try to say and accuse you of not understanding the Arabic. When we say no, when we have Muslim speakers on who confirm what I'm saying, that this word strike, to beat, it actually means what it says in Arabic is the same, they will still try and say, oh no, it doesn't mean that. You now get Muslim scholars like Yasir Qhadi talking about the passage, slipping all over himself because he's embarrassed of what it says. Not one time has he said, this doesn't mean to beat your wife. He's not said that one time. He knows what it means. Not one time have you heard him mention a miswak, a toothpick, a toothbrush. Oh, this is symbolic. Oh, just as oh, I'm being serious now. Because he understands, he knows what's in the sources. He's even quoting some of the sources, and I'm saying, okay, cool, this is what it says. He knows. But he's still trying to dress it up and cover it up instead of just say, look, this is what it says. This is what it says. And this is what's funny, because you see Muslims come up and they'll quote one verse here and one verse there, and they'll say, oh, you're running, you're afraid, blah, blah. And it's like, no, as Christians, you don't need to be afraid of anything in the Bible, because there's well-grounded explanations for all of the passages they may try to present, right? And they are banking on you not knowing this. Two things Muslims like Dr. Yasir Qhadi and even some of the Muslims you speak to, right, are banking on. They're banking on you not knowing how to answer for your own Christian faith. And number two, they're banking on you not knowing what it says in their sources. Because the more you understand of what their sources say, the easier it is for you to get out of the webs that they want you to be in. And that's just the honest truth, when you think about it from that perspective. Human Shield, are you a Muslim?
Yes, are you a Muslim?
Okay. What do you think about the Quran saying you can beat your wife as a Muslim?
The verb that being used in the Quran.
Pardon?
Says beat, yes. But that verb was used.
Hold on. So you said it means beat, right?
What define beat?
Beat. We know what
beat.
It means beat, right?
It says udrab. The verb is udrab.
Right, which means to beat and to strike, right?
Strike, no, but beats, yeah.
What do you mean, no?
Strike, what do you mean strike?
Strike.
But listen, man, you interrupted me in the middle of the...
Yeah, because I don't want you to go too far ahead. I want you to explain it slowly so people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So that verb was used in many other verses, and none of them mean beats.
Okay. What other verses? How many other times is this word used in the Quran?
I know two.
No, so it's only used in two other places.
Does that mean strike them on their ears?
Pardon?
No, I don't think so.
Pardon?
You want to see? You have an echo.
How many times is it used in the Quran? Only 2 times or more than that?
I know 2, but I think more.
Okay.
We can go to ChatGPT and he will give you all the...
No, I don't want to go to ChatGPT for this. If you're bringing an argument, you should be prepared to explain the argument.
Oh, you think I have all the Quran in my head?
No, you came. I didn't tell you to come and say, well, it's used in different places. You came with that argument. So if you're coming with that argument, you should be able to tell me then how many times it's used, because we're not just going to go based on one verse or 2 verses unless it's only used 2 other places. If it's used, for example, like 20 other times or 50 other times, then what you have to do is you have to look at all of the examples where that word is used, and then you come to the understanding of a better understanding anyway of what it means.
I agree, but
if you think you're going to take me to a verse in the Quran where it's used in like a lighter context to try and help you, we're not going to do that unless you're going to say to me, this is how many times it's used. Okay, that's not going to work.
What if that's the only 2 that been used?
Pardon?
What if that's the only 2?
I just said to you, if that's what you're saying, then tell me. But if that's not the case, then it's not the case. Like right now, you're trying to cast doubt on what the word means. We've literally heard a well-known Muslim Arabic-speaking scholar tell us clearly that it means to strike, it means to beat.
Strike them? And by the way, so I guess you're a Christian, right? It says Christianity is there.
In simple terms, it means you can hit your wife. Do you disagree or you agree?
No, I disagree. I don't think God is going to tell these people to beat their wives.
You don't think
No, I
You
don't think.
you don't think so?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Let me read something to you. Yeah.
Okay, you read something from me from my book. I read
I'm
something
gonna
from you
read.
from your book.
I'm gonna read something to you because
I
you're
will
saying.
read something to you
Listen
too.
to me. Listen to me. I'm gonna read something to you because you said you don't believe this is what's gonna happen in your religion, basically in the Quran, right? And
Okay, and
if
I will read something from your book too.
if the Quran says that you can strike a woman, I don't understand why you're running away from what it actually says.
Running away.
Because I asked you, what do you think about it? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? And for some
I
reason,
just told you I don't think that the God is gonna tell his people to strike their wives.
why not?
And when I told you I know two verses. It says the same verb but different meaning.
Obviously, we know that words can have different meanings in different contexts. Everybody
But
knows.
exactly, but you just
Everybody knows that.
since you wanna stop Islam,
Everybody knows
which
that.
nobody can stop Islam. You wanna just make it Islam is bad for women. My mother covered herself like the mother of Jesus.
Your
Does
mother
your mother
what?
do that?
Your mother what?
My mother covered herself. My sister covered herself like the mother of Jesus. Does your mother, does your sister do the same
we're
thing?
not talking about covering today. We're talking about Islam giving the husband the power to strike his wife. That's what we're talking about.
The husband.
That's what we're talking about.
So your mother doesn't cover herself
What does that
like
have
the
to
mother
do?
of Jesus.
What does that have to do
The
with
picture.
a husband
You
striking
see
his
the
wife?
picture? Mary covered herself like that.
The picture is a depiction of a Muslim woman. That's all it is.
The same Mary, the mother of Jesus, is a Muslim woman.
The picture is a depiction of a Muslim woman. That's it.
The same as the mother of Jesus, Miriam is a Muslim woman.
The picture for the third time is a depiction of a Muslim woman.
Thank you.
We're talking about a husband striking his wife. What's so difficult for you to stay on topic?
I just explained to you, and I guess you have a problem in your mind.
I have what?
You want to go further? Okay, let's go further. Let's take all the verses.
Because you haven't answered the question yet. You haven't answered the question
Let's
yet.
take all the verses that. Hold on, give me 2 minutes, okay? I'm gonna find all the verses that has the same verb, and let's see the meaning.
All right.
How about that?
Let me ask you this, right? There's a question now in the comments. Can the woman strike back? Yes or no? Since you don't want to ask if the man can strike a woman, can a woman strike back in Islam?
We don't believe in striking each other.
You don't believe in striking.
And listen,
You don't
the
believe
war
in
on Islam.
you don't believe in
It's not
striking.
something new. It's something been for like 1400 years.
Pardon?
The war on Islam. People trying to stop Islam for 1400 years. It's not something new.
What does that have to do with what you're talking about?
Why only people talk about Islam? They never talked about Hinduism, Buddhism. Like they only talk about Islam. Why? It's weird.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about
What's
you saying
funny is
that?
Christians are converting to Islam, and you want to stop
oh
them?
really? Oh really?
Okay, I witnessed it with my eyes in the church, in the mosque,
All
the
right.
Friday praying last week.
All right, bro. You keep believing your lies. A guy who simply can't answer a simple question. He wants to dodge and run and deflect and run away instead of just dealing with what the Quran says. He can't just simple acknowledgement. Okay, cool. The Quran says, speak to them, separate from beds from them, strike them. It says it. Notice, so I want you to understand, whether you're dealing with a lay Muslim, like you just heard, I don't assume he's a scholar, or you're engaging with a scholar like Dr. Yasir Qhadi, they're all going to do the same thing. They all run away from it. You literally saw in the previous video of Yasir Qhadi, a different one, where he was saying, look, this is my ruling. Forget about step 3. Don't beat them. Don't do it. Right? Don't do it. He's literally saying, don't follow the Quran. In certain cultures in the West, it's not going to work. What he really means is they're going to put you in prison if you do that in the West. That's all he means. That's all he means. He doesn't want to say directly, Yasir Qhadi, yes, a Muslim man is able to strike his wife. Just like you heard that caller, just like the callers before them, they're all embarrassed. They're all quick and ready to run. They don't want to speak about it. They'll accuse you of lying and saying, oh no, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the Arabic. The guy just literally said to me, well, okay, it's used in other places in the Quran. I'm asking him a simple question. How many other times is it used in the Quran? Oh, well, I only know of 2 places. Because what he most likely wants to do is he wants to go to some other place in the Quran where it has a, let's just say, a lighter meaning or something based on probably a different context, and ignore all the other places where it's talking about striking off hands or striking off heads and all of that kind of stuff. So just notice how when you're engaging with people who are attacking your faith, you see a lot of these Muslims, number one, they're trying to play the victim card. Oh, you heard people saying, oh, my dad abandoned me. Like the lies they will say to try and get you off track. They'll say stuff like your wife doesn't love you or you just want attention. I literally started this live stream by talking about a Muslim man who released a video talking about how Islam honors women more than Christianity. It's got over 1 million views. But will you see him in the comment section of that video saying, oh, brother, stop doing that. You just want attention? Of course not. Of course he's not going to say that. Because as is the custom, so often when you speak to so many of these sorts of Muslims, they have a double standard. They're hypocrites. They're hypocrites. One rule, one standard for one group of people, another standard, another rule for everybody else. It's crazy. They can't answer just a simple question. Is it okay? Is it good for a husband to strike a wife? They don't want to just say no. The reason they don't want to say no is because the Quran clearly says it. And when we start looking at different hadith, it adds to it as well. And they can't even deal with it. Osama, where is what? We got another Muslim who says the Quran doesn't say it. Imagine, this is the kind of stuff that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Yes, it does. 434 says, let me even read it. I'll read it again. All right? Just so everybody can hear it. All right. Earlier we read 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, as you can see here, and we read this passage from the Quran. Men are in charge of women because Allah has made one of them to excel the other, and because they spend of their property for the support of women, so good women are the obedient, guarding in secret that which Allah has guarded. As for those from whom you fear rebellion, not that they have been rebellious, you fear rebellion. Admonish them, tell them off basically. Banish them to beds apart, don't sleep in the same bed with them, and scourge them. Other translations say strike, other translations say beat. Some false translations say beat with lightly in brackets, which is a lie. It's a false translation to try and dress it up. This is literally in your own Quran. But you have Muslims time and time again saying it doesn't say it, when it does say it. We looked at this hadith earlier on. I'll read it again. Sunan Abu Dawud 2459. Notice this. A woman came to the Prophet while we were with him. She said, Messenger of Allah, my husband Safwan ibn al-Mu'attal beats me when I pray. The coward is literally beating his wife when she prays. And he makes her break the fast. And he does not offer the prayer at sunrise until the sun rises. Muhammad asked Safwan about this. And what does he say? Regarding her statement that he beats me when I pray, let's listen to why he says he beats her. Because she recites 2 surahs during prayer. And I have prohibited her. I told her not to do so. The coward literally beat his wife because he says she's praying too much. Sunan Abu Dawud 2459. Like, and what's so crazy about this is you can show them their own sources and they'll still call you a liar. They'll still say it doesn't say it. I didn't make this. This is your sources. But then when you speak to Muslims and you ask them, okay, cool. Is it acceptable for a husband to strike his wife? They don't want to say no because they're embarrassed to say it. But at the same time, they don't want to say yes because if they say yes, it's obvious. The problem is obvious. This is why you have people like we've seen already, like Dr. Yasir Qhadi, who is honest enough to acknowledge that it says it, but then at the same time, he's trying to run away from it. He's trying to dress it up and say, look, just forget about stage 3. Don't do stage 3. Just leave it out. Forget about it. This is all over their sources, all over. And what they want, what Muslims like Dr. Yasir Qhadi want you to do is they want you to focus on some hadith, but then ignore the other hadith, which are also clear. And the reason they want to do that is because they're the kings of cherry picking. They'll say one thing, which will help them, then they'll ignore another thing, which doesn't help them. Notice this, right? Wrong comment. Have you ever read the Quran? Read it and then make an argument. Has Dr. Yasir Qhadi ever read the Quran? He's admitting to the same point I'm making, that the Quran says you can strike your wife. And instead of him to say it's bad, a husband shouldn't strike his wife, he knows he can't say that as a Muslim because he'd be going against what the Quran says. So he tries to dress it up. So again, instead of them just acknowledging what's clearly said, they will start doing ad hominems. They'll start attacking me and saying, oh yeah. Does the Quran, have you read the Quran? Right? Notice the difference. This is what you have to deal with. All glory to God. I appreciate you for the comment. Thank you. And again, this is funny. Why am I a sad child? I'm not a sad, I'm a blessed child of God, just for the record. Thank you for the follow. Yes, definitely Christianity is better because Christianity doesn't tell husbands they can strike their wives under any circumstances. It's like someone took verses, put them in a jar, shook them up good and put them back in the Quran. It's programming and cults. They practice witchcraft. You can say that you can't strike your wife. Hadith puts a limit on it. You can say that you can't strike your wife. We're talking about greedy churches now in the comments, guys. Notice. Anything to get away from this topic. Osama, you're a Muslim, I assume?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Wa alaikum salam. Now tell me, please, I'm looking for one Muslim today at least to be able to answer this question, to be able to answer this question honestly. All right?
Okay, I will give you a complete answer.
Do you believe that it's good or bad that in Islam a husband is able to strike his wife?
Okay, of course, the strike wife is bad.
Okay.
But you have to. There is a echo. Why?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, there is echo when I talk.
Okay. So
anyway,
hold on. Firstly, thank you for answering the question directly and clearly.
Yes.
Now go ahead. You were in the middle of explaining, I guess, why you think is acceptable. I guess, right?
Okay. So the word the word in the Quran, اضربوهن, it's not means to strike or beat. In Arabic, when we say اضرب الأرض, that's mean walk on the earth or go away, walking, like walking away. That's one of the meaning of اضرب.
Okay.
So of course, Sunnah and Shia, the majority of Muslim, they don't believe in this meaning. They believe اضرب, it means strike. اضرب, it's mean beat. Yes, I agree with you.
Okay.
But the meaning in the Quran is not that. The meaning in the Quran, it's mean walking away. And it's literally saying the first step with your wife, you have to talk with her nicely. The second step, you have to abandon her in her room. The third step, it's walk away.
Walk away in what context?
In context, this is the step before the divorce. There is a problem between the man and the woman and his woman. So the first step to fix this issue, talk to her nicely. If she didn't accept it, abandon her in her room. If she don't accept it, walk away, leave the house. And this is the step before the divorce. This is the meaning in the Quran. But the Sunnah and the Shia, the majority of the Muslims, what they call themselves Muslims, they don't agree with me. They said it's a beat, it's a strike. And you see all the translation to English, it's based on the tafasir, the understanding of the Sunnah and Shia. And
Okay.
that's what you get the misunderstanding.
Okay, Osama, hold on, right? Just for a second. So, firstly, let me say this. So, based on what? Actually, okay, no. Let me go back. Are you a Quran only Muslim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it makes sense. Okay, so you don't accept hadith, you don't accept tafsir, you're just Quran only.
No,
okay.
It is a big fabrication.
Okay, cool. So just notice, now I'm talking to everyone else. Just notice, guys, he's a professing Muslim. I'm not going to debate whether or not he's a Muslim right now. A lot of Muslims, like he said, will say he's not a Muslim because he doesn't accept the hadith and he doesn't accept the tafsir, the interpretation of the verse. But notice he said, he acknowledged, and do you speak Arabic, by the way? Do you understand Arabic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Notice he said, guys, that when you read through the English translations of the Quran, Pickfile, Yusuf Ali, Sahih International, all of them, they all say beat, strike, as in the way we're talking about today. His point is that this word has a different meaning. One of the meanings is to tread or to walk away, and that's the meaning he believes this verse is saying. Okay. Now, my question to you is, based on what in the Quran? Because this word is used multiple times in the Quran, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is it used in the Quran in other times in a way which is similar to striking and beating?
In the Arabic, the word has many meanings.
I know.
The exact meaning based on the context.
Definitely. But that's why I'm asking you. So are there other contexts in the Quran where it's speaking about striking and beating?
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. And obviously your point is there's other verses in the Quran as well where it's talking about the context you're speaking about, like walking away, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, now, so it's good that we have that understanding and agreement that yes, number one, a word is defined by the context in which you put it in. I agree with that. Cool. It's good that we can agree that there's other places in the Quran which use this same Arabic word and they're speaking in the context of hitting and striking and beating. Now, the question I need to ask you is, what is it about this verse that gets you to take the interpretation that it's not striking and beating like other places in the Quran, but it means walking away in this particular verse?
Perfect. This is the perfect question. So when we understand any context in the Quran, we have to understand it based on the attribute of God. One of the attribute of God, it's the wise. He is the wise.
Okay.
And because he is the wise, he ruled by just. So we cannot accept God order somebody to strike anybody else without reason, without defend on yourself.
But the reason would be the reason would be that he fears rebellion, number one, according to the verse. He's spoken to her, and then he's banished himself.
No, but she didn't. But she didn't yet, because if you go to the beginning of the verse, he didn't do the bad yet. She start to.
What do you mean?
So that means.
What do you mean by
I
that?
mean, I will tell you.
What do you mean at the beginning of the verse? He didn't do. What do you mean by that?
So the whole concept of the verse is, if your wife start to be not wife,
if you fear rebellion, it doesn't. No, hold on. It doesn't say she's not being a wife. It says if he fears rebellion, so he doesn't have proof.
This is another. Yes,
it doesn't have proof yet. He just has a thought or belief in his mind or heart that she's doing something behind his back. He doesn't have the evidence yet that she's doing something wrong. She may not be doing something wrong.
Exactly. So in Islam, we don't punish somebody on just we feel. We don't have evidence, so we will punish him. No, there is no in the Quran. We have to have a proof or evidence she did something wrong. After that, the punishment come. But
that's not what the Quran says, though. That verse doesn't say that.
Which?
434. You're saying that a Muslim can't make a judgment. He can't punish without evidence. But that verse isn't saying that. That verse is saying the complete opposite.
Because we don't understand. Yeah, because we don't believe the meaning of adribu. It's a strike. Adribu, it's mean walk away.
But before we get to that, before we get to that though, we're talking about him saying in the Quran he fears rebellion. So what does that mean? What is he fearing? What is he afraid is happening before he takes the steps?
He fearing like she does not become a wife, like she don't take care of her children, take care of herself, take care of him, take care of the house. So he have some signs she start to be not a good wife. He didn't have a proof yet, so he start to talk to her. Please, honey, you have to take care of this, that, this. She don't listen, so he abandoned her in the bed. She didn't listen, so he walk away because she is not a good wife anymore, and this is the first step before the divorce.
But if a Muslim man wants to divorce his wife, he can divorce his wife. He doesn't need to.
He can.
He doesn't need to separate from beds. He doesn't even need to speak to her. He can just say it's over.
But in front of Allah, he will not be a just.
How can he not be just? How can he not be just in front of Allah if Allah is the one that's given him the power to end the marriage by just saying it to her?
The steps, if you understand the steps, that's mean he have signs. The wife is not become a good wife. He try his best to fix the relation, but she didn't agree, so he walk away.
I get what you're saying from the first part. He thinks she's being a bad wife. Even if I accept that interpretation and go with you, I don't agree with what you're saying after, because clearly if he's saying, number one, he's going to speak to her, then he's going to stop sleeping in the same bed with her, and then after that it now says, okay, he can strike her. Why is it going to say? It doesn't make sense. Why is he going to speak to her and then stop sleeping in the same bed and then walk away? Clearly, contextually, there's an elevation in the punishment, in what's happening.
He give her time.
Give her time to do what?
To be a good wife.
Yeah, but if she's not being a good wife, quotation
he can
marks,
walk away,
and he speaks to her.
The divorce.
Wait, and he speaks to her, and she doesn't listen. Then she doesn't listen. So now he says, okay, cool. You're still not listening. I think you're doing something wrong. I'm not going to be sleeping in the same bed with you anymore. And at that point, she's still not doing what he wants. He doesn't even need to go through those stages if he wants to just divorce her. He can just say talaq and she's gone.
Yeah, but the talaq again in the Quran, the talaq is not just happen by saying a word. The talaq in the Quran, it's a process,
The
like
pro
the marriage process.
the process of saying talaq.
No, no, habibi. This is what the Sunnah and Shia said. But in the Quran, it's a long process.
What? Okay, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole with you about the long process in the Quran. I'm not gonna go down that with you. But let's saying
there is a Muslim does not agree with the interpretation of Sunnah and Shia.
Yeah, I acknowledge that you don't agree with that, and this is the thing. I know if I bring up another Muslim, they're gonna start calling you out and cussing you and saying you're not a Muslim.
Yeah, of course.
Etc. Right? You know they're gonna do that already. But,
yeah, and they will call me a kafir.
But back to our original point, right, about the word strike. You take a different interpretation, which I don't agree lines up with the context of that passage, because
it's lines with the God attribution. Allah does not order somebody to punish somebody else without doing the wrong. The wife didn't doing the wrong yet, so we don't have the right to punish her. So you cannot understand the word adrab. It means strike.
A quick question: Do you believe Shia and Sunnis are Muslims?
No, they are not. They are criminals. They are criminals.
Okay.
Because Allah in the Quran says you cannot attack innocent people. So if you attack innocent people, call them kafir, call them pigs, call them blah, blah, blah. This is not the attribute of Muslim. So if you does not have the attribute of Muslim, how I call you a Muslim? You may be Muslim more than them.
This is the problem that you're gonna have, right? As many Muslims who believe in believe in the Sunnah.
In Arabic. If you go to my channel, you will see tens of videos. Literally, I take their ideology part, expose them by evidence. You are wrong. You go against the Quran.
All right, let me say this, right, and then I'll let you go, and you can come up another time when we're talking about Islam if you want, right?
Yes, sir.
The Muslims the Sunnis, let's just stick with the Sunnis, right? They're going to turn around and say, they're going to say to you, look, you can't understand the Quran without the hadith and the tafsir.
Yeah.
So you read through different things in the Quran, and those things don't make any sense without any commentary from the outside.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Said.
But that's true on a lot of levels, though.
No, I disagree with them. There is a whole website we have in Arabic, and we are in the way to translate it to English. We debunk every claim Sunnah and Shia claimed. Sunnah and Shia does not respect the Quran. Sunnah and Shia does not work based on the Quran. Sunnah and Shia, they are not monotheism. They are poly. They have the word of Allah and the word of human. They don't follow only the word of Allah.
Well, I would agree with you that Muslims don't follow their words, the word of God that they believe in. We're seeing that all throughout this live stream today. Something which is clear, they distort, they run away from it, they hide from it, they don't want to accept it. At least you today, when I spoke to you, you said, you know what, it does say that word strike, it does mean beat, but at least you said, okay, it means something different. It's a different context, whatever. Which even though I don't agree, I can. Okay. That's the best sort of interpretation argument to make. At least acknowledge what it says, which so many of the Muslims can't actually do. But look, this was a good conversation. This is probably the best conversation so far today. And like I said already, next time I'm talking about Islam or any other live stream, feel free to come up if you want and we can have another conversation.
Nice to meet you. Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Osama. God bless, right? All right. You know what's so funny about that is this is a professing Muslim who's not a Sunni, not a Shia. He will call them not Muslims. And I had a better conversation with him than any of the other Muslims before. I just think that's actually funny. And they will say he's not a Muslim, which is, it's funny on so many different levels. The one that they will say is not a Muslim is the one who will acknowledge that, yes, this word actually says strike, it means beat. You can't make this up. It's amazing on so many different levels. All right.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Queen Didi. How you doing?
Muslim woman here.
You're a
First of
Muslim
all,
now?
very proud to be a Muslim.
Okay.
I thank God and the blessing of God who made me a Muslim. First of all, do you know that we can also divorce them? Because you keep saying stuff that doesn't make sense, as if you really care about us.
I did. You said, hold on. You said I'm saying stuff which doesn't make sense.
And you don't make sense.
And you think I don't care about you?
No, you shouldn't. Because we are very blessed. Care about the people with the side chicks and the friends with benefits living in sin and not knowing who's the woman and who's the man. If a man wears a wig, he can go to the bathroom with the girls. These are the people who you should care about. Or someone who pays half of their household money. I don't pay nothing. I'm not required to pay nothing.
And because you don't pay for anything in your house, you think that's acceptable and it's okay. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't interrupt me. You think that's acceptable for the Quran to say a husband can beat his wife if he fears rebellion?
Beat his wife, that is not true. It's
pardon? Pardon?
No. You asked a question.
Yeah, I said pardon because I didn't hear what you said. So repeat what you said, please.
Listen, I will repeat. Striking your wife is not something like a physical assault. It's to keep someone from being hysterical. I get hysterical.
It's from keeping someone from what?
Being hysterical. If a woman is angry, she could be hysterical. A man should not be hysterical.
Okay, so if a woman, if a Muslimah is being hysterical, that is the scenario. That's what. Stop interrupting me, or I'm gonna drop you.
You said a Muslim man could be
Stop interrupting me. I'm asking you a question. Listen to the question. I'm actually not angry. So just chill out. You were saying a Muslim man, if he's dealing with his wife who is being hysterical, being emotional, which he shouldn't be doing, are you now saying then in that scenario it's acceptable for him to strike her so she gets back in line?
You keep not listening to me. You're making up and twisting things.
Okay.
When you hold someone's shoulders, tell them to chill, that is not striking. If she is moving, you can hold her until you're chill. If she's not chilling, then you just leave. That's basically what it is.
Is that what the verse says?
That's what it means. It doesn't mean assault, which is what you're alluding to.
Is that what the verse says?
Yes, the verse says that exactly.
Okay, can you open it up so we can read it?
No, hold on.
Open it up.
No, you hold on. You're trying to
open up the Quran so we can read it because you're
driving.
Okay. You keep driving then. You keep driving. You keep driving.
Muslim woman not paying nothing. She's living like a female queen.
I already said to you.
When other people are being hit 20 minutes, every 20 minutes someone is striking in America and the West. Why can't you talk about that?
I already said to you that
because I'm gonna keep driving.
You keep driving. Because see, this is what you have to deal with. She's literally saying she doesn't have to pay anything in her household. And I asked her before, and we came back now again full circle. So because you don't pay anything in your house, that gives you that gives your husband the right to beat you or to strike you if you get out of line. That's basically what she's saying. This is crazy. This is the reason why right? This is the kind of thing, no doubt, why the Islamic sources say Muslim women have a deficient mind. This is crazy. This is what you have to deal with when you actually literally you're speaking to a Muslim woman, the kind of person you would think should get it and be like, yeah, like this is bad. But they will turn around and say, well, no, it doesn't say it. So basically saying, oh, I'm a liar. But when it actually comes to I say to her, open it up, let's read it. They don't want to. They run. They're driving. She's driving, but she could call in to talk to me. And when it's now, okay, yeah, let's read something. Oh no, I'm driving. But you were driving when you could call in. But now you can't do anything. Excuse me.
What's going on?
Saif, how you doing?
Good, how are you, brother?
I'm blessed. Are you a Muslim?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me know what you think about this. Is it good or bad that a Muslim man is able to strike or beat his wife?
What is it? It's not allowed to lay your hand on him.
Pardon?
You're not allowed to.
Your mic is muffled. What did you say? You're not allowed to do what?
You're not allowed to lay your hand on Islam.
You're not allowed to lay a hand on a woman in Islam.
Yeah, like
The Quran doesn't agree with you, bro.
the Quran doesn't say that.
Pardon?
Where does the Quran say that you can beat your wife?
In chapter 4, verse 34. You want to read it or shall I read it?
Can you open up your camera? Like
Pardon? Pardon?
Can you open up your camera? See?
Can I open up what?
Can you open it up?
Yeah, it's open. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, you don't want to show it.
I don't want to what?
You don't want to open the screen.
No, because it's like, this is kind of obvious. Just go to the passage. I'll read it for you. I'll read it in multiple translations for you as well if you want. All right, let me read it to you. I'm gonna skip over the first half because it's not relevant to what we're talking about. But it says, where should we start from? Okay, righteous women are therefore obedient, guarding the secret of God's guarding, and those you fear may be rebellious, admonish, banish them to their couches, and then, and it says, beat them. If they then obey you, look for not any way against them. God is all high, all great. That's what it says.
Though, are you reading it in English?
Pardon?
Are you reading?
Am I reading it in English?
Yeah, is that the you're getting it from?
Where am I reading it from?
Is that the English version?
Yes, that's one version. Another version says beat them, and then it says lightly in brackets, which is a false translation. Another version says scourge them. Another one says strike them. Another one says beat them with brackets. It says lightly, which again is a false translation. That's not in the Arabic. So my point is, when you read across different English translations of the Quran, which are translated by Arabic speakers, you can clearly see what is being conveyed in the verse from Arabic speakers.
Actually, the opposite. It's not clearly because you're getting different meanings from what the word is.
Okay.
I tell you that it's not one meaning.
So let me ask you a question, yeah?
Because I know for a fact.
Let me ask you a question. Beat, scourge, strike. Do they sound like similar words or different words?
They're similar, but they're not the same.
Okay, so they're similar. So if you were reading something which said beat them, and then you read something else which said strike them, and then you read something else which said scourge them, would you come to a different conclusion, or would you come to a similar conclusion?
I'd come to a confused, which I
You'd
don't
come to
blame you.
what?
A confused conclusion.
You would
for
come
me.
to you would come to a confused conclusion when you've got
Yeah, because-
three different words which all point you down the same direction.
That's not the same direction. When you say scourge, right? So, or like scolding, like you can just do that with words. And then when you say strike, that can mean like just trying to check somebody, putting them in line. And then when you say beat, that can mean physically assaulting somebody. So those are three totally different words. The words are not the same. They're similar, but so let's not play tying them all up together.
I already said to you, would they take you to a similar conclusion or a different conclusion? You said it will take you to confusion. How would it take you to confusion when you've got three words which sound the same? They're all talking about the same kind of thing. Okay, let me ask you this. Let's make this even simpler. Beat, strike, scourge. Are all three of those words talking about hitting something?
No.
Guys.
Scourge?
If you scored something, are you hitting it?
No. That's not what scourge means.
Okay.
Look up the definition. We can look.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm so like, are you think like that means hitting?
You know what? I'm just gonna be real with you. At this point, only the chat can save you. Like, so I need you guys in the chat to let me know. Like, I'm gonna ask them. Let me ask them. You need to let me know in the chat. Am I confused here, guys?
One person who just said they're similar but different.
Am I confused? Am I confused here?
Well, so also in that.
Hold on. I'm not confused. Thumbs down. The guest is cooked.
Okay, well, clearly you got a.
The Abdul is lying.
When you say, "Oh, stuff like Osama bin Laden is in the church," when you're trying to be racist.
Okay, I'm not. No, you know why? Because like what I'm saying to what I'm saying to you is simple. It's simple, bro. Beat, strike, scourge. They're all referring to hitting something, and you're saying no.
I want to say they're different with that because they are not the same word.
I didn't say they're the same. I didn't say they're the same. I said they're similar. And I'm sure you agreed earlier. You said they're similar.
I do agree, and I still agree.
And okay. So I don't understand now why, when I'm asking you, okay, beat, strike, scourge, they're all okay. Let me ask you this way, right? I'll simplify it even more. Can all three of those words be referring to hitting something?
Not really. Like not hitting. Scourge is like you can like verbally scourge somebody. Like it's just a matter of interpreted how you use that word in a different way. Like you can verbally assault. So I mean, it's not the same. Beating specifically, like physically assault.
Okay.
When you say beat, one definition. When you say scourge, with words. When you say school, it's the same thing. You can verbally assault somebody. I don't know. I mean,
okay.
You see what I'm saying, right?
The word beat, can that refer to hitting something?
Of course.
The word strike, can that refer to hitting something?
Yes.
The word scourge, can that refer to hitting something?
I don't see how that one would. If you want to try.
My goodness.
It doesn't really to me to go like if I go, it doesn't mean I hit them. It can mean I can like assault them and
Can you,
You know
beat?
what I mean?
Can you beat someone verbally?
No, not beat.
You can't beat someone verbally.
No.
Are you a Muslim?
That-
Like, really? Are you really a Muslim?
Yes, bro.
You're not
I
trolling.
No, I'm not trolling at all.
All right.
I'm like, so also, when you go ahead, you interpret these. Where did you get where were you reading this from? Like, where were you reading this?
The verse
Yeah, where were you reading?
from the Quran. It's chapter 4, verse 34. If you open it up, you're going to read the exact same thing.
The Quran says one thing. Oh, okay, my bad. Translations. Is that what you're doing? Translations.
Bro, I read through multiple different translations. Earlier on in the live stream, I played videos of Arab. And listen to me. Earlier on in the live stream, I played a video from a Muslim scholar who's talking about the same verse, and he's acknowledging it means to strike. He acknowledged it and he was embarrassed about it. He started saying, well, look, he would not even advise you to do it. Just divorce them before you do it. He wasn't denying what it says. It's clear for Arabic speakers. I've spoken to Arabic speakers before who have acknowledged and said it says that. So we don't have to play any games, bro. Like,
Yeah, but you go to like one person and they fall for a trap like that. It doesn't mean that what you're saying is correct. We can agree on that.
yeah, I agree with you. It's not, you shouldn't just take one person's interpretation. And this is the point. When you now read the verse and then you start looking at different hadith, which are showing people being beaten, then obviously that adds more to the point that the Muslims in the hadith who are beating their wives, who are striking their wives for different reasons, are obviously taking what the Quran says and understanding it in the same way that most people who read it will understand. That is saying a Muslim man can strike his wife.
Okay, so bring up a verse. That verse can be that, like, I'm serious. There's a verse that not allowed to oppress.
Pardon?
And what is oppression?
Pardon?
I'm sorry. In your interpretation, to oppress somebody.
Say that again.
What in your interpretation, what is it to oppress somebody?
What does it mean to oppress someone?
Yeah.
But what does that have to do with this verse, bro?
Well, it's counteracting.
It's not countering it because the verse is still in the Quran, bro.
Yeah, but the same verse about oppression is also.
If this verse is saying you can beat your wife, then it wouldn't be if this verse is saying you can beat your wife under this circumstance, you fear rebellion, then obviously it wouldn't be classed as oppression. It wouldn't be. It would be acceptable.
No. But see, now it's words because oppression can mean somebody unjustly, which means you're not allowed to do that in any form to anybody, to your neighbor, to your daughter, to your wife. It doesn't say you can oppress your wife in parentheses. Oh, you can't oppress everyone. It doesn't say that.
No, my point is beating them wouldn't be seen as oppression in Islam because it's part of what the Quran says. So if you follow these steps in the verse, then you're not being oppressive to your wife. You're doing what the Quran allows you to do.
Yeah, but you're breaking it down in a translation. Like, for example, if I Greek version of and to translate that in English, you really feel like you need that and understanding.
If you translate something, would I be able to understand it in a different language?
Well, what I'm trying to get at is something is written in a certain language, and you go and translate. You really believe that you're getting the full value and the full deep meaning from what that's giving you, or you're going to lose it. Basically, what I mean is like understand it differently a little bit. It makes sense. I mean, that's with any language with any book. So that's what I'm trying to. Is when you go ahead and say the Quran says you can, that is not factual. Interpreting it through the English translation, which means something different than what the Quran actually says.
But the Arabic. Let me give you an example, right? One of the translations I read earlier, I mentioned it twice. It says lightly, beat, and then it has in brackets lightly. And I said that's a false translation because that's not in the Arabic, right? It doesn't say beat lightly in the Arabic. So the point I'm trying to make to you is, in Arabic, it says what it says. People are translating it into English. I could easily just say to you, it's even more clearer in the Arabic. The same way you're trying to say, well, something may be missing, you may lose something. It could be even clearer in the Arabic.
But the Arabic, the only way you get the word is if you say udhru.
Like someone, hold on. Someone's now saying, I'm only reading the last part of the verse. Is there something in the first part of the verse that changes what it says at the last part of the verse? Of course not.
No, but my point is, beat in Arabic, the only word that means beat is udhru. You literally have to see in the Arabic wording in the Quran, you in the تضرب ولا تزوج. Basically, the translation, you were allowed to be, and that would be a correct. But it doesn't say انت بتقدر تضرب.
So what do you think? What do you think this verse is saying?
In Arabic, it doesn't say that.
When it says strike them, what's your interpretation of this part of the verse? After they've spoken to them, admonished them, after they've banished them from beds, what is it saying when it says strike them?
Can you play? Does it allow you to and pronunciate it?
Forget that. No, I don't need to play it. Just tell me what you think it says. Give me your interpretation.
I mean, but that's falling back on what I'm contradicting what I'm saying, because I'm going off the English translation again. I'm trying to give the Arabic definition of.
Yes, tell me. You speak Arabic, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me. Give me an interpretation. Help me understand this verse. Since you think I don't understand the verse, you think the scholars don't understand the verse. So you tell me what the verse means.
But that's why I'm trying to tell you, that same verse, and I can hear it, I can break that down for you. How it's actually be sounded, and instead of these English translations are giving you different wording, different meanings. Like this is, let's not be here. We're trying to get the actual definition of what we're saying, right?
Yeah, so why can't you give me the definition of what the verse means? You've come here and you've said it doesn't mean what loads of these translations are saying it means. It means something different. But you don't want to tell us what it actually means.
Here, he's saying it in the chat. Mubara, which is a non thing. It's like basically checking, like you're allowed to check and tell her like, what are you doing?
That's not what it says in the Arabic.
But like I said, that's my point. That's why I want you to say it, or at least pronunciate it, like play the voicing that pronounces it. I can hear what it's actually saying because I understand it, and then I can tell you the meaning of what that's saying.
Look, if think about this, right? You've got this comment here saying it doesn't mean a harmful strike, but
it is harmful.
But what is that being based on? The verse clearly says what it says. We have hadith which clearly show that they were taking it in the way I'm talking about. But somehow you're basically throwing all of that stuff under the bus and saying it means something different.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Religion and culture are two different things.
Religion and what?
When you have Islamic extremists or just random people and they go overboard and they, on a live something they did, like a woman, something she did, that's not a part of religion. It's not something that the Quran condoned. That's something that they went over and did, and they're going to be held accountable. That doesn't mean Islam condones all of this. If I'm a white person and I go shoot up a school, does that mean all white people are now Jewish? Like that's not how, right. You hold every person accountable to what they do. So it's pretty. A lot of people they try to say stuff like, "Oh, you guys allow gay people to jump off mountains because you don't allow them." No, dude, that's culture. That's certain people done wrong. I agree that that's wrong, but you can't say that, oh, Islam is preaching that, or that's what they believe in, or that's pretty ignorant to say. So at the
All right.
same time, this it's pretty ignorant to say, oh, this is deep, because like I said, the Arabic meaning rather than the translation, because you're losing the meaning out of that. That's
All
what I'm
right.
trying to tell you.
So, all right. Look. So this is what I'm gonna say. Right. They're saying your mic is distorted. Maybe if you get a pair of headphones, we can talk again. But listen, you've basically said what's clear for everyone to see in English, in multiple English translations, which Arabic speakers have translated. We still don't understand clearly what it says. Then Arabic scholars have agreed and said, you know what, this is what it means. I've asked you to give me an interpretation which is different, but you can't give me an interpretation. You asked me to play out the Arabic as if that will make a difference.
It will, because I can tell you the Arabic word.
All right. Maybe we can talk again another time, man. It says what it says, it's clear. This reason alone is one reason why Islam could never honor women more than Christianity. As that video that I mentioned before, that's got over 1 million views, is lying to all the people that watched it. Let's see if the next caller can do any better. Hello, Rashad.
Hello, brother. How are you?
I'm blessed. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
All right. I need you to do better than the last caller.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try, inshallah.
All right. Chapter 4, verse 34. Is it good or bad that a husband is able to strike his wife?
It is very bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you agree that this is a bad verse for women then?
No, I agree that God, the Creator, whoever you believe is God, the Creator, and whoever I believe God is the Creator, we believe that He created a human being.
Okay.
And He knows them more than anybody.
Okay.
This verse was actually revealed to end domestic violence.
Okay. Why do you say that? A verse. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. So, if I understand you correctly,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure most people who are listening probably will agree with what I'm about to say. So you're telling me, chapter 4, verse 34 in the Quran, which gives the husband the opportunity, if he fears rebellion, to strike his wife, is a verse that the God of the Quran is sent down to stop domestic violence.
Yes.
A verse that allows a husband to strike his wife is a verse in the Quran which stops domestic violence.
Yes. And
Okay. Explain yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you look at most cases of domestic violence, it happens in an instance of rage.
Okay.
There's an altercation. Even here in the West, 50% of women are domestically violent. Super Bowl, whatever. Argument happened, anger happened, and the weaker one was struck. There's a cadence that has to be followed in the Quran that you first admonish, which is speaking to them.
Okay. Yep.
Second, preparation of the bed, that you separate your bed for a period of time. And then the last is the now.
And then the last, sorry, and then you said what? And the last what?
To strike them.
Okay. But that is going to stop domestic violence, striking them.
Yes. So can I please finish?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if anger is the cause of striking, and you admonish, separate your bed, time passes by, anger is diffused, the striking never takes place. But that's the psychology of the human being that Allah, that God knows. Because in the Quran, for instance, God says, La taqrabu zina. Don't get close to fornication. Because God knows if you get close to fornication, you're too weak, you're going to fall into it. The psychology of the human being is that he resorts to striking when he's angry. So if you could diffuse the situation, the striking will never take place. Now, the word strike, you are right, it says strike. It doesn't say nothing else. You know, there's other strikes in the Quran that they use it in different contexts. I've been listening to you, and you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when you say strike them, there has to be a limit, because you could strike them and there's no limit in striking. You can strike so hard that you can break their face into two. You can kick them. You can strike them with a bat. So the Quran has to be interpreted by the actions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the foremost that were with him. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala an, says the striking is if you take a piece of siwak, it's a little piece of wood, and tap them, that's striking. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best of you are the ones that are good to your wives. Heaven is under your feet of your mother. Women are honored in Islam. He never struck a woman. So we take the interpretation of the Quran from the Prophet when it comes to limits. And that's it, my brother.
Okay. So you said a lot of stuff. I'm still trying to wrap my head around giving the order to strike a wife is somehow the end of domestic violence. I can't square that circle. But you're basically admitting that one of the steps, one of the things the husband has is to strike his wife. Then you try to say, okay, well, we need to look at Muhammad's life and we'll look at the companion's life, etc. And you said Muhammad never struck his wife or whatever you said. There's a hadith which contradicts what you're saying, number one. Number two, we have hadith of the companions of Muhammad beating their wives, of hadith of Muhammad giving them the power to beat their wives. This is all contradictory to what you're saying.
Okay.
And that is off the back of the clear verse that says you can beat your wife. Not Ibn Abbas coming later trying to clear it up and say it means this, because you don't have examples. Let me just say this. There's multiple examples in your hadith which show you that they didn't take it as a miswak, as a toothbrush or a toothpick beating. That's not what they believed. That's why there's hadith of men beating their wives for various different reasons. And we know it's beat like proper beating, not what you're trying to play it down to be.
No, my dear brother, you have to look at the context, and I would like to see the hadith you're talking about, but here's another example I want to give you, and I respect your...
Okay, hold on. Okay, let's look at an example. I read this hadith earlier on. I'll read it again. Okay. This is Sunan Abu Dawud 2459. Sunan Abu Dawud 2459. A woman came to the Prophet while we were with him. And it says, she said, my husband Safwan ibn al-Mu'attal beats me when I pray and makes me break my fast when I keep a fast. And he does not offer the dawn prayer until the sun rises. Now, Muhammad says to Safwan, who was there with them, about what she said. So he's saying now, Safwan, tell me about what she said. This is what he says. He replied, as for her statement, he beats me when I pray, she recites 2 surahs during prayer, and I have prohibited her from doing so. Then Muhammad said, he didn't say, don't beat her, or you're wrong, or anything like that. He says, if one surah, listen. If one surah is recited during prayer, that is sufficient for the people. So in simple terms, she comes to complain to him that her husband is beating her while she's praying. He now explains to Muhammad, the reason I'm beating her while she's praying is because I told her she's praying too much. She's praying for too long. I told her to pray for a short amount of time. Muhammad doesn't say, okay, no, like, leave her, don't beat her. He says, he agrees with him. If you recite 1 surah, it's fine. This is simple. This is Abu Dawud 2459.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me look at it.
What do you have to say about that?
Can you tell me the hadith on the brother?
Abu Dawud 2459.
2459. Okay.
What do you have to say about it?
I just have to look at it before I make a comment.
But does that sound like he's beating her with a miswak?
It makes me break my fast. Okay. He asked the father. He replied, Messenger of Allah. Okay. Not crazy.
He didn't say he didn't beat her, and Muhammad didn't say you shouldn't beat her. He just said, you're right, she shouldn't be praying too much.
Okay. One second. I'm looking in the air. So حدثنا صليت وصمت صلاة الفجر ينقذني إذا صليت. It does say exactly what you read.
Pardon?
It does say exactly what you read. I'm just.
It does say what? It does say what, sir?
Exactly what you read.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beats me. Yeah, it says that exactly. And it says it in the Arabic too.
Thank you.
Okay.
So for all the Muslims who are listening who say I'm lying, you just heard him say and acknowledge it does say it.
Okay.
I'm not making anything up.
Just give me one second to.
But answer this though. Does that sound like he was beating her with a miswak?
I honestly don't know what he was beating her with, or was it miswak, or was physical beating. Okay, I don't know that, but I do know one thing. The time the Quran was reading to the Prophet, they weren't just beating their wives, they were burying their daughters alive.
Okay. But we're not talking about the daughters today. We're talking about the wives. So just go back to my question. Hold on. Go back to the question I asked you. You said you don't know what he did, but does it sound like he was beating her with a miswak?
I don't know. That's unclear there.
Does it sound like it? Someone reading this, you've read it. Does it sound like, just from you reading it, he was beating her with a miswak?
Yeah, so he doesn't. No, it doesn't sound like something, because he would have probably said he was beating me with a miswak.
Okay, what does it sound like? He's beating her.
It sounds like he hit her, but they're talking about prayer, so I don't think this was a beating that you're referring to, because if she was getting beat like that, the Prophet would have intervened.
Firstly, you don't know what kind of beating I'm talking about. When I'm talking about beating, I'm talking about being hit. He's a husband hitting his wife, which I've said to you already is he shouldn't be doing that. I asked you earlier. Okay, cool. So you clearly know, you've acknowledged yourself, this is wrong. This is bad. This is why I'm saying Islam is bad for women, and Islam doesn't honor women more than Christianity.
No, my dear brother. You have to look at domestic violence. You have to look at content. You have to look at crime. I mean, like for instance, let me give you another example. Slavery.
We're not talking, bro. We're not talking about slavery. We're talking about husbands and wives, man. Come on, stay on topic. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think it's good for a husband to beat his wife while she's praying because she's praying too much?
It's never good to beat your wife.
Okay, but your religion says it is, though.
My dear brother, my religion forbids the beating of animals. Forget about your wife. And I keep explaining this to you, that the Prophet ﷺ was never known to ever be a child or a woman. The Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, the ones that were close to him, never did. If certain Sahaba, certain people in the time of the Prophet, they didn't even believe in Islam. Some of them fell off of Islam. Some of them claimed to be prophets. There were different types of people in his time. Now, if somebody ends up beating their wife, that doesn't reflect on the Quran and the Prophet.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, right? So, if, for example, there's this group of guys and they're planning a murder, and let's say there's 5 guys, right? 5 guys are planning a murder, and there's one guy that's on top of them overseeing what they're doing, and then the 5 guys go and murder someone. Is that guy that was overseeing them, would he be convicted as a co-conspirator along with the people or not?
Absolutely.
He would, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now hold on. So now stay with me. So if Muhammad empowered men to beat women, would he be convicted as a co-conspirator of people who beat women? Yes or no?
Yes, if he did that, he would.
Okay, that's great. So now, what I want us to do, we're going to read another hadith, which shows you exactly that. So now we're going to read Ibn Majah, 1985. Sunan Ibn Majah, 1985. And this is what it says. It was narrated that Iyas ibn Abdullah ibn Abu Dabab said, the Prophet said, do not beat the female slaves of Allah. Then, Ummah. Who's Ummah? Who's Ummah?
Ummah?
Yeah, who is that?
Can you read the part again? Ummah?
Who's Ummah? Who is that? Tell me who that is.
Ummah is in Arabic. Ummah means the people, general.
No, who is the person Ummah?
I have to look at that.
All right, let's keep going. Then Umar came to the Prophet and said, O Messenger of Allah, the women have become bold towards their husbands.
Omar.
Who is that? Okay, he's the companion.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. He says the women have now become bold towards their husbands. So order the beating of them. And then it says, and they were beaten. So based on the analogy that we just went through before, Muhammad would be guilty of empowering men to beat women, and he would be guilty as a woman beater as well, because he sanctioned people to beat women. Right?
No, that I know that.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Can you give me the hadith real quick?
You just said that the guy on top of the 5 murderers would be a co-conspirator. You also agreed that if someone empowered others to go and beat their women, they would be a co-conspirator. Now that I've shown you a hadith which shows Muhammad empowering them to go and beat women, you're now not following it to its conclusion.
Brother, I've been very honest with you.
So be honest now as well, and just acknowledge, based on what you said, I already said Ibn Majah, 1985.
1985. Okay.
He empowered them to beat women.
Okay.
By the analogy, he's guilty.
The Prophet started this hadith with, "Do not beat the female slaves of Allah."
I know, we read that.
Okay. Then Umar came to the Prophet and said, "O Messenger of Allah, women have become bold towards their husbands. So order the beating of them, and they were beaten."
So does he say no? Does he say no? Does he say no or yes?
Let me finish the hadith, please.
My goodness.
70 women in the family of Muhammad complained about her husband. You will not find that those are the best of you. Okay, just let me read the thing. فقال يا رسول الله ذكر النساء على أزواجهن أزواجهن فطاف صلى الله عليه وسلم طائف النساء فلما قال.
Be consistent, bro.
I am being consistent. Hold on.
Apparently, this backfired on me. The Prophet was testing them. He tested them by allowing them to beat women. Imagine.
And that's what I'm reading. And I'm reading the tafsir because he commanded right at the beginning, do not beat the female.
That's not the point. The point is that he flip-flopped. He said he apparently said don't beat them, and then when one of his right-hand men said the women are getting bold now, allow us to beat them, he says they can beat them.
But why? Go to the tafsir. Why did the Prophet say that?
Because Umar said to him, the women are getting bold. Let us beat them again. And he says, you can beat them then. That's the whole point. Based on the example we spoke about before. If someone tells a group of men, go and murder someone, he is guilty just with them, just like them. If someone tells a group of men, you can go and beat women, he is guilty of being a woman beater as well.
Absolutely.
So why can't you acknowledge that here in this example, when Umar came to Muhammad and said, these women are getting too bold now that we can't beat them anymore, let us beat them. And it says they were beaten. He let them beat them. Why can't you stick with the same flow of logic and say, yep, you know what? Muhammad said they can beat them. This is wrong. This is bad.
This hadith, when you read the tafsir of this hadith, my brother, this hadith in fact highlights Prophet's stand against violence and the importance of maintaining family respect. This hadith itself, when he said, do not beat them, you have to go back to that first line. He did not advocate for the beating of those women. The Prophet was clearly saying, do not beat women.
Okay, hold on. So order the beating of them. And then it says, and they were beaten. Why were they beaten? Why were they beaten?
Okay, hold on 1 second.
When Umar said, order them to be beaten, and then it says, and they were beaten. Why were they beaten?
Okay. And also,
why were they beaten? Did Muhammad say they can beat them again or not?
So, this hadith.
Oh, come on, bro.
There's no.
This is. Say that again.
We don't know the context. It looks really bad. It looks really bad.
Yeah, because I'll tell you why.
Because it never says what the rebellion was in the first place.
That's
It never
bro.
says what the
Forget
rebellion
about the rebellion. The rebellion is not the important part here. You're missing it.
Yeah.
You said the beginning says he said don't beat them. Right?
Yeah.
So wait, hold on. So when Umar says to him, order that we can beat them again, and then it says, and they were beaten, who ordered that they could be beaten?
The Prophet never would have sanctioned this beating. The Prophet never ever has sanctioned
Okay,
beating.
okay. Who? Okay, hold on. Let's go back now. Then let's go slower. Who in this hadith did Umar come and speak to?
Came to speak to the Prophet.
Okay, so he came to speak to the Prophet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and he said to the Prophet that the women, because we can't beat them anymore, are getting bold again. They're getting bold. So order that they get beaten. Right?
Right.
Who did he come to see?
He came to see Muhammad.
Okay. And then it says, hold on. And then it says, and they were beaten. So who ordered them after Umar said, order them to be beaten? Who ordered that they can be beaten again?
Okay.
Just answer it, please. Come on.
There's no clear indication of who ordered it, my brother. But you can imply that the Prophet may have given that permission. Okay?
You can imply. You can imply.
Now.
No. Hold on. It's not clear who says it, but you can imply it's Muhammad, right?
Here's the reason
No, hold on.
Let me give the reason it's impossible.
No, hold on.
I'll give you the reason why it's impossible.
Hold on. Okay.
It's impossible.
I said hold on, bro. Hold on.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Abu Dawud 2146. Abu Dawud 2146. Do not beat Allah's handmaidens. But when Umar came to the messenger and said, women have become emboldened towards their husbands, he, the Prophet, gave permission to beat them. Who is the he in this hadith? He gave permission to beat them. Who is the he in this hadith? Who is the he in the hadith?
The Prophet.
Okay, so who ordered Umar and the rest of the Muslim men to beat their wives?
It was the Prophet.
Thank you. So now, back to what I said to you before. If there's a guy who is overseeing a group of people to murder someone, that guy is culpable of murder as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then the second example, if there's a guy who's ordering a group of people to go and beat their wives, he is also guilty of wife beating too, right?
Right.
So Muhammad, in this hadith, because he allowed and ordered the men to beat their wives, he is also guilty of wife beating, right?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Now you already said to us, hold on, you already said that beating a woman is a bad thing. It's not good.
Yes.
And this is why I'm saying to you,
yes,
even though people make videos and lie and say Islam honors women more than Christianity, this is a clear example why Islam does not honor women more than Christians. Because Christianity doesn't allow a husband to strike his wife under any circumstances. But Islam clearly does. We can see it in the Quran, 434. We can even see it in the Hadith. And as much as you've tried to run away from it, at least now you've come to accept it clearly that Muhammad was the one who ordered them to beat women. So the point is, it doesn't matter if he said don't beat them in the beginning, because just because one of his friends comes and says let's beat them, just like that he'll turn around and say you can beat them. Why would you follow a man who is so double-minded in this way.
Okay. Now,
Imagine if this was your wife or your daughter. Or imagine if this was your daughter or your mum this was happening to.
yeah. So, can I please answer? I've like completely, honestly answered all your questions.
Honestly, what?
I just want to say a brief explanation. Okay. The Prophet upon him gave a command, it was a command that no one is allowed to beat their wives first.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. When this happened, the women of the time of Quraysh, they became very bold and started really revolting against their husbands.
Okay.
Keeping in mind, this is the ignorant age of the Arabs, literally called Jahiliyyah, the ignorance, age of ignorance.
Was
These are
Umar
people-
a Muslim or an ignorant person?
Omar was a Muslim,
So
but he was before. But you have to remember, their people are coming into Islam.
was Muhammad a Muslim or part of the?
Of course.
Okay,
Of course.
so like you said before,
I just want to
if
finish my
if the
point.
if the person at the top who's ordering the people, he's part of it. He's guilty as well. So Muhammad was a Muslim, like you said. He's bringing people into Islam, and if he's ordering women to be beaten, what you're saying doesn't make sense. It can't apply because
So I'm trying to give you the context now. So first he said, "Don't beat the women." Then women became empowered.
Englishmen beat their wives when they lose a football game. LOL. Yeah, and they're cowards, just like the Muslim men that do it as well.
Can I just finish, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Respect.
Go ahead.
Okay. Then the Prophet, at this point, when Omar came to him, he said, "Admonish them," but he met with a limit.
He met with what?
He met with a limit. There had to be a limit. Okay? And so these people go start beating up their wives. When the Prophet hears about it, he becomes very angry and he admonishes them. And the verse of the Quran is revealed. And the steps that you're allowed then to admonish or beat your women. And the steps were created to take away the anger of a group of Arabs that were known to be male chauvinists, bury their daughters, treat their women bad, and the Prophet brought them from that to honoring their women, putting heaven under their feet, and even when you read the farewell speech of the Prophet, he's wrong. The last speech that he gave, he said 3 times, "Be good to your women. Be good to your women. Be good to your women." This is a man that for 23 years never struck a woman, never advocated for violence. And you're taking little places here and there and trying to discredit somebody that is a prophet of God, that led his life with exemplary action.
So you're throwing the hadith under the bus. After you acknowledge what the hadith says, you've seen multiple hadith. Instead of you to be true to the end, because you don't want to go to its conclusion, you're now just reverting. You've gone full bot mode, basically. Yeah?
Okay. No, Habibi. You have to, like, let me give you one example. If you as a human being.
No, you're done. I made it so simple for him. Simple example, simple example, simple example. He was right there. And then when he gets to the end, instead of him to just let the truth set him free, he wants to start reverting back to full Islam, full Islamic mode, and just start spewing off a lot of nonsense. He's the one that agreed and said, well, look, if someone empowers all these people to do something, he is accountable for it. Apparently the guy started making sense and then I removed him. Only a Muslim would say something like that. This is crazy. He literally said Muhammad never did it, his companions never did it. I showed him a hadith which shows his companions doing it at the obedience of Muhammad. And then he ran away from it. This is the same guy that was saying, yeah, what I'm saying about these hadith is correct. I'm apparently cherry picking hadiths. Okay, I'm cherry picking. That's what they have to do. That's what they have to do when it's clear and obvious what the Quran is saying. It's clear what the Quran is saying. It's clear what the hadith are saying. This is crazy. When someone can't even just be honest enough, and the exact hadith apparently expels violence from women. It's amazing. It's amazing. We've got people talking about Englishmen beating up their wives if they lose a football match. Am I as a Christian supposed to say, yeah, that's acceptable? Is that what you think I'm going to say? No, that's not what I'm going to say. Leave us alone. When the Muslim makes a video saying Islam honors women more than Christianity and gets over 1 million views, there's no leave us alone. When a Christian says, okay, let's see how true that claim is, and start speaking about it, all of a sudden it's leave us alone. Crazy. Am I saying Islam is bad or certain Muslim men? Well, the Muslim men are following what the Quran says. So this is why I say Islam is bad for women and Christianity is better. Because it's Islam, the religion, the Quran, which says you can beat your wife. That's why those Muslim men do it. That's why. All of this is for views. No, all of this is to wake people up like the last caller. Someone who can see and can acknowledge that, yes, beating your wife is bad, number one. Someone who can see, okay, cool. These examples he's giving make sense. That's why I'll do this sort of stuff. Because that sort of person is close enough to realize, okay, cool. Yeah, this is bad. It's bad. All he has to do is take the next step. That's why this is being done. Am I a Muslim woman? You don't even know our religion. Clearly, I know the religion more than the Muslims that are calling, which they can't be true to what the text says. It's that clear. Can't make this up, guys. Can I state the text? We've looked at chapter 4, verse 34. I don't even want to have another caller after that last caller. That last caller that's sad, man. Someone that can be so close to the truth, still miss it. Crazy. This is why you need to pray for these guys. These guys and these gals. We spoke to a Muslim earlier on who totally delusional. How many Muslim men have we spoken to today? The last caller, he can see it's wrong. He knows it's wrong. But because Muhammad did it, he can't go the next step and just say, yes, it's wrong. Pray for these spiritually blind Muslims, that the light of Christ can open their eyes. And when the light is shining on them, they come towards it. Not run back into the darkness like the guy was doing, trying to explain it away. Earth is flat, bro. How you doing?
Oh.
Are you a Muslim?
Oh, I'm echoing. Well, real quick, just one question. How come the
No, hold on. Are you a Muslim?
I'm a Christian.
Okay. What do you want to say
Just
on
real
topic?
quick, how come Christians and Muslims can't unite against the Jews?
Pardon?
I don't know the echo, I apologize, but why can't the Christian and the Muslim unite? They have the same issues. Sharia law is very similar to the Old Testament punishments. And Mormons have multiple wives. So why can't we unite with Muslims, the second highest religion beneath us, against the Jew who wants to take over Christianity and rejects the Christ?
All right. Whether you're a Christian or not, that's debatable. But I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but if you look at my live stream channel, I live stream against different people, different groups. Anyone that's coming against Christianity, I'll show you how to defend your faith against typically. And that's all I'm going to say. We don't need to team with Muslims against Jews. Muslims believe in a different God. Apparently, I don't care about women. This is the Muslim attack on me. The guy that's here exposing to Muslims what their religion says about women, but apparently I don't apparently care about women. H.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good.
All right, you're a Muslim, yeah?
Am I echoing or are you echoing?
Pardon?
Am I echoing?
Put headphones on, and then it won't echo. All right. You said I should bring you on, so talk to me about 434. Is it good or bad that you can hit your woman as a Muslim husband?
Hello.
Mm.
Can you hear me well? What's so funny?
That's funny. This is what we have to deal with. You weren't serious. You know what's crazy? Like, this is why Muslims don't want to talk about this topic. You heard Yasir Qhadi talking about it. He was embarrassed. He was uncomfortable. You speak to Muslims about it. They are uncomfortable. They're embarrassed. They lie about it. They say it doesn't mean that. You show them the hadith, show them the different sources. They'll lie about it and say it doesn't mean that, or it means something different. They'll say stuff. Then you'll show what they're saying is actually false. And they'll still find a way to run away from it. But this is apparently the religion that this guy was saying in his video that's got over 1 million views, that Islam honors women more than Christianity. No way, Jose. There's so many avenues I could go down to show that Islam doesn't honor women more than Christianity. Like, we can't even get out of first gear because the Muslims who are coming to defend this can't even defend it. Stop making unsupported claims. You say the Quran says it allows you to beat women, you show them the verse, they say you're lying. You show them the hadith which shows that Muhammad commanded that they can beat women. You show it to them, they say you're lying. You show them the hadith, the sources which says men are beating the women, they say they're lying. They say you're lying. This is spiritual blindness 101. And the saddest thing about all of this stuff is the people that comment and say, I don't care about women. I don't care about Muslim women. Do you think if I didn't care about Muslim women, like, it's obvious the guy who's saying it's wrong to do this is apparently the guy who doesn't care about Muslim women. Which is crazy. Thank you for the rose. Appreciate you. Apparently, as a Christian, I'm wrong. Okay. Make that make sense.
Hello?
How you doing, user?
Hello.
Are you a Muslim?
Where is Muhammad?
Pardon?
Where is Muhammad?
Where's Muhammad?
Yes.
What, right now?
Yes.
In hell. Where do you think he is?
I agree.
Alright, then praise the Lord.
You are a Christian?
Yeah.
Why do I hear my voice?
I don't know. You have to wear headphones. Then it should.
You have to fix your mic.
No, you have to wear headphones. Are you speaking into your phone?
I can't wear headphones.
So then you have to call back when you can wear headphones, brother. If you speak into the phone, then it's going to echo.
I don't have headphones.
Alright. So maybe we can talk next time then, okay?
I think it's better now. I think it's better.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Alright.
Hello?
I think that's a nice place to wrap this up, guys. It doesn't matter who the Muslim is, scholar, lay Muslim. Whenever it comes to talking about this topic, they all sound the same. They're all embarrassed. They're all afraid. A small percentage of people that are Muslim will acknowledge it and say, yep, this is what it says, and stand behind it. And it's because they're embarrassed. They're afraid. I'm going to thank you all for tuning in live. This is the second live stream of this week. For certain, right? Mondays and Wednesdays, same time, same place. I'll be doing live streams helping you defend your faith as a Christian. We deal with Islam, we deal with atheism, we deal with Orthodox Judaism, and we deal with Hebrew Israelites. So if you like today's live stream and you want to see more of this, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, right? If you want more Christians to see how to equip themselves to expose the attacks on our religion, definitely like, definitely subscribe. And I'm going to see you all next time by the grace of God. I don't know, I may be able to do another live stream if schedule holds later on in the week, but if not, I'll be back by God's grace next Monday, same time, and we'll see what the topic is. But one thing will be for sure is we're going to be showing you again, you'll see again how to defend your faith as a Christian. And the more and more we do these live streams, the more and more you will have confidence and you will see that you have nothing to be afraid of as a Christian. Any argument against Christianity can be handled. And this is what the Bible says, that we should take every argument captive. And that's the whole goal of what I do here in this setting. So, God bless you all, the Christians and the non-Christians. God bless you all. I care about you all, despite what the Muslims will have you believe. And again, thank you all for watching live. And for those who watch this on the replay, I pray this was a blessing to you as well. And maybe sometime I'll see you on the future on the live stream. So I'm not taking any more callers today. The phone lines, the callers will be allowed to come back on the next time we go live. And on that note, a Muslim woman's trying to get me to stay. What do you think, guys? Should I stay or should I go? What do you think? Should I take one more call, a Muslima? Or you think it's good? One more? When you put it like that. All right. Leave the 99 and go after the one. All right, we'll go after the one. This is the last one, guys. This is the last one.
Wait, please. I just want to say one thing.
This is the last one. What do you want to say? You're a
Okay,
Muslim,
so
yeah?
I don't know much about Christianity, right? Because I'm
Okay.
Muslim, I'm not gonna go and study a random religion when I don't know much about my own.
Okay.
But like, why would I become a Christian woman? Like, I want to get raped and marry my rapist. Like, what the heck?
No, you want to get beat by your husband. That's what you want to do, right?
No, but like, wait. So you want me to become Christian so I can get raped? Wait. Wait, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
No. I get.
Okay.
You like verses in the Quran that say you can beat your wife. Okay. No. I don't need to wait. No. Why? Why would I let you speak?
To become Christian so I can go get that man, and then I have to marry him.
I want you to become a Christian. I want you to become a Christian so you never have to fear. I want you to become a Christian because see, I want you to become a Christian, number one, because I don't want you to ever be in a situation where a man who's following his religion is going to strike his wife, number one. And number two, another reason I want you to become a Christian, another reason why I want you to become a Christian is because I don't want you to be in a religion who teaches that you have a deficient mind. In Islam, the sources say that you are dumb. Compared to a man, you are dumb. Now, you probably don't know that, and they don't want you to know that. But this is why I would say to you, this is not the religion for women. Because a religion that says you can beat women, a religion that says women have a deficient mind, they're dumb. A religion that says most of the people in hell are women, that's not the sort of religion I would think would be good for a woman. Maybe you disagree and you know what, you're like, okay, cool. You want to be in that religion? Okay, go ahead. That's on you. And imagine your sources. So when I now start dropping sources, they're going to turn around and start throwing the sources under the bus and say I'm lying. All right, guys, you see what happens anyway. There's a context for everything. Yeah, there's a context in which your Islamic sources say that Muslim women are dumb. They have a deficient mind. It's a wrap, guys. The benefits of women in Christianity is their husbands are not allowed to strike them. They don't have to believe that they are dumb and have a deficient mind in comparison to men. There's many benefits. I'm apparently interpreting the Quran wrongly. Okay. So are your scholars. And so are your hadith, I guess. Throw all of your religion under the bus and prove what Muhammad was saying, that Muslims are dumb. Muslims have a deficient mind. All right, guys. It's definitely a wrap now. All right. God bless, guys. I'll see you next time. Yeah. Take care, guys.